Hello and welcome to Whine and Whine with me, your host Sam Loy, and my lovely co-host Russell Cutting. How are you guys today? Welcome to the podcast, I think we're calling it. And what we like to do on this podcast is have a little bit of a whine in terms of without the H, and then have a little bit of whine about the new cards in the set. Hopefully not be too negative. But tonight, let's start this off this way. Russell, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a 2017 Grenache Mataro blend from Marananga, Sharky Estate. They're super cheap wines for a really good price. So, used to be all growers. They've got a beautiful cellar door. Super nice wines. Definitely recommend it.
Excellent.
What are you on?
Myself, I've got a Bull Ant Cabernet Merlot from 2018 out from Langhorne. It's a bit of a cheap one as well, but it's got good value for money on that. I'd recommend it.
Yeah.
I think I picked that up for $15, and it tastes pretty decent for that. Well, tonight we're going to start talking about Dungeons and Dragons, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Same thing.
Our subtitle there.
Yeah, Forgotten Realms being the most famous D&D kind of setting. So yeah.
There you go. Well, for me, I don't know my dungeons or my dragons as well as I should. But luckily we have Russell along with us, and Russell is an expert flavor judge in both Magic and Dungeons and Dragons lore. So we will get them to take us through it as much as we can. And without further ado, Russell, what's our first topic for tonight?
So I think we're going to go through the mechanics of the set first. I think was the plan. All these mechanics are pretty D&D focused as well. Obviously dungeons, I think being the hallmark one, being Dungeons and Dragons. So then there's dice rolling and something else, which I can't remember.
Yeah, there's a couple more. Ward, which is returning, which I just want your thoughts on, and Treasures Matter. But why don't we start with the absolute most dungeony one of them, the dungeons themselves and the venture mechanic.
Cool.
I have to say, I'm a little disappointed that they spent the name Adventure so soon before coming out with this set, because Adventure would have been. I know we're venturing into a dungeon and all that sort of stuff, but within a year, we had Eldraine, and that had Adventure cards. Venture is a different sort of beast.
It's venture, not adventure, so we're missing that little prefix there, so it's completely different.
Yeah, we're venturing, not adventuring.
Yeah.
So, what are your general thoughts on this mechanic, Russell?
So they were very, very careful about it, which you have to be because it involves a permanent or card type or token type or whatever you want to call it that can't be interacted with. The dungeon uses the command zone, so you can't really do anything with them except for go into them. Each player can be venturing into a different dungeon. We only have 3, which in theory paves the road for later, but probably not going to see them. But the 3 they picked are super iconistic, well-known dungeons. So flavor-wise, super cool. How they play out, they seem pretty cool as well. But
yeah. Well, for me, as someone who doesn't delve into dungeons too frequently, they do sell me the flavor of the set quite well. I think that just to give the viewers a little bit of background, if they don't know how these function, these work with a mechanic called Venture in the set. They exist in your sideboard, but not in your sideboard slots. So you can have them, you can't interact with them, and you have access to all 3 at all times. In every game of Magic, technically, you just won't need to use them unless you have the Venture mechanic as well. I do think these 3 are probably a good start. I wouldn't be surprised to see more in the future, to be honest with you, but I would be surprised to see them outside of supplemental products like command products.
Definitely ancillary sets for sure, because then they can not be so conservative with them.
Absolutely.
I've just pulled up, Eliwick Tumble Thingo, which is what we'll probably talk about at some point, which does have this keyword venture into the dungeon. There's other cards like Nadar, Selfless Paladin, also with this venture into the dungeon. Fair bit rare, uncommon, common, some repetitive, often they're just one-off instances. And the dungeons themselves, you can only be doing one dungeon at a time, which is important, so you can't partially complete a dungeon and then start another one, which is important, so you don't start Lost Mines of Fandelier, get a 1/1 Goblin token, and then go into the Oubliette of the Tomb of Annihilation to, sacrifice that creature token. So,
it's certainly interesting. I would say that for the most part, and there are some exceptions we'll get into, the cards with Venture on them are pretty much all designed for limited.
I'd say so.
So it's somewhere between, Energy, which was basically a free writer text, and something like Poison, where you're actually having a significant drop off in stats for a powerful effect. We have this here, and it seems to be mostly adjusted to be undercosted bodies, but with a lot of abilities, including Venture. So, of the cards that I think are the most constructed playable, I think that the most constructed one is Acerak, which I think is the one that uniquely only works because of the access to combo pieces. So, for those who don't know, Acerak, Lord of Undeath, is 2 and a black mythic for a 5/5. The text is, when it enters the battlefield, if you didn't complete Tomb of Annihilation, return it to its owner's hand and venture into the dungeon. It has some more writer text about zombies and stuff like that, but who really cares? The biggest point about Acerak is that if you can cast it for free, you can infinitely venture into non-Tomb of Annihilation dungeons. So it will win you the game with an Allurin in play, for example, amongst other things. So this is mostly an issue for older sort of formats, and it does just give it a little bit of a bump to combo decks that maybe don't get that much love all the time. So happy to see that the venture mechanic will actually get some constructed play, possibly, maybe only as a one or tutor target, but it'll be nice to see anyway.
That is definitely something I had not thought about. That's definitely a corner super weird case in older formats, but
I'd like to see it in 7-point Highlander, particularly, and someone assemble Acerak and Allurin. Yeah, sure. That would be dope. I would be a big fan of that. But mostly, a good venture card is one that's on curve, right? One that has stats.
Yeah, a lot of them cost a little bit more to do something like you're paying 4 mana for a 3/2 or something that you're not quite drawing a card with Adventure to the Dungeon. I'm thinking about a blue card in common. Where is he?
There's quite a few of them in common.
Yeah.
Basically, you need enough of them to be playable for the effect to be good. And the issue being that it doesn't seem like there are enough synergistic pieces to put together for a constructed deck. But that's okay. I think that this is totally fine as a limited mechanic. It's going to feel super themey. I'm really excited to play it in limited. And if it makes its way over to constructed with something that I'm not seeing right now, I won't be mad.
I mean, you've got a mythic and a rare with repeatable venture effects. So, well, actually, a couple of rares: the Planeswalker, the Dragon, Paladin. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these effects, by the end of the dungeon, you've probably drawn a card and a half, maybe more, depending on the dungeon. Maybe it's flavorful. I don't know. I think it's a win.
If you're not going infinite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you think we've covered it?
Yeah, pretty much. Without having played with it, I think it'll be a lot more fun to play than actually try to break it down, because you've got 3 dungeons to pick from. You don't have to do them in any particular order, and then each of those dungeons presents multiple decision trees, which very much depend on the state of the game. They're different enough from each other that different decks can use them. Super interesting mechanic. Not sure how it'll play out. Even as a limited mechanic, I'm a little bit worried, but there do seem to be, now that the full sets come out, enough venture into dungeon at common and uncommon that you'll feasibly be able to do this.
They do seem to be enabling it in every color archetype and allowing just to do it for free. I am a huge fan of that. I think it's going to be really cool. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. So our next major category of mechanic are treasures and treasures matter cards.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Treasures, I believe, came out in what was the? I was going to say Ikoria, but Ixalan, that's right. The other eye thing with dinosaurs, but not other kinds of monsters. The Ixalan treasure cards were relatively conservative, but over the last couple of sets, so Strixhaven and now Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, we've seen them
more and more and more,
and on more aggressive sort of costings as well. A lot of stuff for 2, some stuff for 1 with a condition. So, what are your general thoughts about, first of all, the amount of treasures floating around
now? Treasure is a pretty easy mechanic to like get right and not stuff up. Like, I just think it was a really smart way of dealing with this token space they've been mucking around for a while. So I really enjoy it. If you're looking at D&D as a set, treasure is an important part of the game, loot, etc. So it's an easy flavor win in there as well. And then this is a mostly red and black mechanic, I think, although it is spread across a few. I'm just trying to find a card that kind of exemplifies it. Paying with treasure.
It mostly appears in places where the flavor requires it.
Yeah, there's a lot of getting treasure, which is great.
Yeah.
Which is, again, incredible limited mechanic because mana and hitting your mana on curve is super important. So, I think it's a really...
I do like that they've balanced that out with having some payoffs as well.
Yes.
That if you control it, there's a few spells that do an effect, but do a slightly more powerful effect if you control a treasure, or you paid for it with a treasure.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That stops them becoming useless in top deck situations in limited, which frequently occur, and also it rewards people for hoarding all the treasure cards in the draft.
That's right.
And I like the idea of that as well. I'm a big fan of it. I am yet to understand whether or not it's going to be a problem in some formats that there's all these lotus petals floating around.
Yeah, I don't know. Most of these cards aren't like that good to really like.
I mean, the fact that they've not costed 1 for 1 mana.
Yeah,
there's Strike at Rich in Modern Horizons 2, but that's a modern only set, so that's fine.
You can push it.
So you can push it a little further.
Yeah,
that being said, there are a couple of cards I have an eye on here, in particular that I quite like, which we might hit later on when we talk about uncommons. But in general, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, treasure, like making treasure and treasure matters. These things like Zorn and Forsworn Paladin are really cool for that. And just again, from a top-down design set, which I feel like this mostly is. Pretty easy win, and it's a good limited mechanic. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm high on it. Let's hope that it's as fun to play as it's been in other formats. I suspect it will be.
Okay. So the last one is kind of the dice roll mechanic. Is that the
D20?
D20s. All right. So Delina, Wild Mage is a rare. There's a lot in common, there's uncommon, and these revolve around rolling a d20. I'm not sure if they have fixed the rules about whether it has to be a spin down d20 or a completely randomized d20. I think there were some issues around that, which
I see.
I foresee some problems coming with. But again, if you just look at it from a purely innocent top-down design, it's pretty much a home run.
I would say that these days, unless you're playing at the most competitive levels, there's ample solutions for that as an issue, including using phones.
Yeah.
So you can't use your phone without your opponent's consent in some high-level play, but who's really doing that often? Anyway,
a couple of issues I have with it. They had to tweak the design slightly to be like a 1 to 9 and 10 plus for a lot of stuff, so it wasn't just flip a coin.
Yes.
Which, feels a little bit forced, but whatever.
I see what you're saying there. There's some, the ones that I quite like using the 1 to 9 are the ones that are a 1 to 9, a 10 to 19, and a straight 20.
Yeah.
And the straight 20 having this particular effect, which is kind of cool. Mostly, I really enjoy gambling. And gambling on Magic cards is, it's near and dear to our hearts. We like it a lot. So it was always going to be a win with me. my early complaint about this
one.
mechanic is that I didn't think they'd print enough of it, but it's all over the set.
Yeah.
Particularly in blue and red, when it comes to being a limited archetype, it seems to be really pushed in blue and red. That being said, it is in a few other colors, and pretty similar to the treasure tokens. They seem to have used it, especially where it was deserving of it from a flavor perspective.
Yeah,
although
absolutely.
I'll have to allow you to decide on that, Russell.
For the most part, it's all pretty good. This card, although not in the main set, is the best one. I love it so much. It's perfect. Treasure chest. So
yeah,
if you roll a 1, which is in D&D a critical failure, there's a bad thing. 2 to 9 a kind of okay thing, a 10 19 a quite a good thing, and then a nat 20 you get something really cool. So I wish that was actually in the set, even though it's not.
Yeah, well, I mean they do like to make those kind of in the set, not really in the set cards, but I think it's a great way of introducing extra cards into some formats, but not necessarily standard. Sure. I really enjoy it. I think it's going to be heaps of fun. I can't wait to either curse a lot once I don't win a die roll, or my opponent does at an opportune moment, or anything like that. You're so lucky. I also really like these mechanics, which sort of bring the randomness of a card game to the forefront.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, this will get complained about. Just I'm going to say it right now. Some people will complain about this mechanic
for sure.
However, the fact of the matter is that you're playing a relatively random game to begin with, so it's not that big of a deal.
The game is a variance, for sure.
Exactly, and all these seem to be designed in a way that either they're really expensive if the effect is really good, or they're a limited card which costs 4, maybe 5 mana, and it gives you a range of outcomes which are similar enough that you're not going to totally blow someone out with this.
I haven't seen anything problematic at all from these cards, and if they're limited focused, I think that's a good thing. And just another really good top-down design. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, I guess.
Absolutely, that's a great thing to say in this set in particular.
Nothing ventured into the dungeon, nothing gained. Yes.
Nothing gained in also the dungeon.
The
cool. The only other thing we have is a returning mechanic, which is Ward. We had Ward in the last set in Strixhaven. I just wanted to grab your general thoughts on how you feel about Ward, having played with it for a while now, and how you see it returning.
Ward is now an evergreen mechanic, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So it's replacing or effectively sunsetting Hexproof, and which sunsetted Shroud. So the hopefully last in a long line of you can't hit me mechanics, and I think Ward is potentially the best iteration for a number of reasons. The fact that they have allowed Ward from the get-go to cost either a mana cost, or a life, or a card, or whatever. It's a shield with a condition. It's a barrier or a conditional barrier that can be removed, and it gives agency to both players, but it comes at a cost. I think they have hit it on the nose with this one, mostly because it is so flexible, where Shroud and Hexproof were absolute.
Binaries,
they played one way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where Ward allows both players agency, and it has long existed before as a mostly blue mechanical, though unkeyworded.
Unkeyworded. Reality Smasher being a prime example of the discard card version. And probably the best version of a discard card version.
Yes.
But I will say that the fact that they can muck with the cost a bit. They need a black card to be more powerful. It's no longer pay 3 life. It's discard a card.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. And
I
do like that. Yeah, really good design. I would be surprised if Hexproof goes away forever, but I would love to see it being used sparingly. To me, I mean, if they say Hexproof is going away, I'll be like, yo, you told me Protection from Culls was going away too. So
look, I think it just lets them get away with not putting a common Hexproof creature on uncommon. They no longer have to do it. It's like and even on the like big mythic, which I will want to talk about later, it has
Yeah, we'll get to
ward,
that.
you know, which is great, you know, and I think that's good. Like instead of getting shroud for a turn or hexproof for a turn, it's got like ward, a ridiculous number, but it's still it can be dealt with in theory.
In theory, yeah. If you're far enough ahead, you know, you can remove this.
It's great.
Be quite a long way ahead, but you know.
The other, like, while we're on mechanics as a sense, this set also has infinite flavor mechanics, which, you know, they're basically applying in italics. They're not technically keywords or they're flavor keywords. They just provide a bit of additional flavor on a lot of modal cards.
How do you?
I think there are arguments for both. I think it can be a little bit ham-fisted in some cases. Like a lot of the time, it's providing references, but it's like really shoving it down your throat. But if you are
I will have to say, for someone who doesn't play D&D, that really works for me.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like as someone who like I wouldn't say I'm like an expert at D&D. I've played a fair bit and I've listened to a lot and I've read a lot of the books now. Like to me, I'm just like, oh yeah, I would have got that reference. But like, if I hadn't played D&D, it's kind of cool. Like it, you know.
I think they really sold me on you see a pair of goblins because they finally put me on a card and that's nice.
Yeah.
I think it was an interesting choice, and it doesn't mechanically change the set, but adds flavor. I'll be interested to see if they use it again. To be honest, I suspect that they will, but I suspect if they use it too much, we will hate it. So I think it's a great use of it in terms of selling it to non-D&D players.
Yeah.
You know, given that's my position. But I do absolutely understand that, and I would hate to see it all the time, that's for sure. I wouldn't want to see it that often.
Yeah, it was on a different card game for a while, and like it just kind of like in tournaments, it's not like they've read the mechanic, they just read the rules text and just said it does this. Like it's pure flavor, and no one's ever going to be like, befriend the goblin thing. You're like, I'm going to put 2/2 goblins into play. At a tournament, but like maybe at casual tables, they're like, I befriend the goblins, and it's super fun. So I think for this set, there's no harm.
Be doing that if I'm at top tables in a tournament, I'll be befriending goblins, not putting goblin tokens.
I'll be being as obnoxious as possible as well. But I'm just saying the average, completely non-idiotic player. You know.
Yeah, that doesn't describe us at all.
Nope. Cool.
Yeah. Well, interesting to see that one. I think it's kind of cool that they've been trying a lot of stuff in the last let's say the last couple years of design.
Yeah.
Not always as innocently as befriending goblins. A lot of the times it's really ruined some formats. So good to see something that's harmless in terms of a gameplay perspective at least.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So the next thing we have on the list is we're just going to go through the mythic rares.
Yep.
So, Russell, if you'd be so kind to bring those up.
Cool. I think I should have them up on the screen. Just in the background, I've just been keeping mythic in the spoiler in the background and being as obnoxious as possible, scrolling up and down. So that makes for an awful cinematic experience. So we are looking on mythic spoiler. I think the last kind of thing to note about this set is, as a whole, it does feel a big step down in power level, which I'm not opposed to. I think it's a really good thing. After the last few years.
I will say we've had a whole year of sets that have been introduced into the format, and they haven't made that much of an impact on what archetype you will play in Standard. There may be a card or two, but the archetypes were far more defined by the previous year, which I'm not totally against. However, I am getting sick of a couple of things, and I'm sure everyone listening is as well. So I think that once we hit rotation, which is after this set, so the next set after this is another Innistrad set. This is taking the place of what would normally be a core set, and by the way, way more interesting than a normal core set. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll be back to Innistrad again for the next set, and once that comes out, we'll be in a new Standard. And I'm really hoping that a bunch of the designs I've really enjoyed from Strixhaven in particular will be a lot more playable in that environment.
Yeah, it's no longer will we have to adventure. We can just focusing on venturing. So
Adventure, keep
just
your A and your D.
yeah, just get rid of them. We're now after adventure. So yeah, I've got basically Mythic Spoiler open. Some of these cards haven't been translated from the original language, and we can bring them up if we think they're of importance. We might read a decent amount of the mythics. Some of them maybe not so. Yeah, just kind of see.
Play by ear.
Yeah. So
where would you like to start, Russell?
From the top, I guess, with the set of 5 planeswalkers. 4 of them extremely
very rare that we get but very rare that we get a double cycle in Mythic.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually.
That's the core setting part of this set. Is that there's two cycles right at the top.
I was going to say 4 of these extremely important figures in the D&D lore, and one of them, Eliwick Tumblestrom, pretty much created, as with a few of these cards, for this set to represent.
I was going to ask you about that. I was on my list of things to ask Russell, whether or not they made up. I was aware that they didn't make up Lolth, because I saw the original art piece getting auctioned off, and it went for an absurd amount of money. But the other ones, I was wondering if these guys are now leaving the Dungeons and Dragons exclusive zone and may appear in other future Magic sets.
Potentially, although, like, in theory, D&D is a multi-planar universe, which they do travel between. So I'll just give I'll give a quick lore dump. Grandmaster of Flowers represents Bahamut, who is the Platinum Dragon, who is God of Dragons. Mordenkainen was actually the roller, like a player character of one of the kind of inventors of D&D.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Lolth, a abyssal demon goddess, and Zerial is a dope fallen angel type character. And I love how they've done pretty much all of these. So they are all big ticks in flavour. So
I will say that Lolth is, to me, just amazing. We are, if there's non-Australian listeners of this program, we like fighters more than you do. But, even still, it's just very cool. The art pieces, even the alternate art for this one, amazing. Yeah. Huge hit with me.
Bring that alternate art up. There it is. So good. You can't see it, but I can see it. The alternate art of Lolth. Mwah.
Oh, don't worry. I've seen the original pieces.
Yeah, so good.
And it's so rare that you get both art to be that
stunning.
Both are competing for the best art in the set at the same time. Different artists. Great job by both of them. I think it's Tyler Jacobson, and can't remember who did the old art.
You can find that one, I'm sure.
Jesper Emsing, I think.
Cool.
Apologies if that's a mispronunciation, but anyway.
As cards themselves, though, I think there's been a shift since kind of like War of the Spark to not completely break every single format with Planeswalkers every single time, and the trend here continues.
You mean none of these Teferi Time Reveler?
Yeah, Teferi Time Reveler, Oko, Thief of Crowns, Narset, Parter of Veils, the Holy Trinity of ruining your life.
They're, big 3 jerks. Imagine the
big old jerks. That said, I have a fondness for Zariel. I think that is one that is potentially gonna be impactful at some point in its life and standard. That's the red one. So 4 mana.
I like to make a token mode of it isn't a minus. That's nice. That if you want to use it as a token engine, play a little bit more defensively with it, which is not the ideal situation casting this card.
No.
But if you are in that situation, you don't go down on loyalty
to protect itself.
Playing to build a board or protecting itself. Yeah. It's always nice to see when these planeswalkers work in non-ideal situations, I think.
Yeah. And the ultimate is impactful but not tremendously expensive considering the starting loyalty and the low cost. And always giving your creatures haste is pretty gas as well. So, yeah.
Gas.
I like that one.
I'm a little bit. So you're saying that you think this will be playable?
At some point in standard, I think it's so. Yeah.
Yeah. We will let you know if we think it's going to be playable in the current standard. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
We're basically going to talk about future standard exclusively. This one's a little solved at the moment, but that's okay. I think that the listeners will know that. This one in particular, I like the design, but I'm not super inspired by this card. It does fit an archetype which I quite like, which is aggro.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm pretty medium on it. Just I'm not too high, not too low, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, of the 5 planeswalkers, I am the highest on Zariel.
I see. I quite like myself. I quite like the Grandmaster of Flowers.
Bahamut.
7/7. So the trick with this guy is that there is a passive ability that if he has 7 or more loyalty, he becomes a 7/7 dragon god creature with flying and indestructible. Indestructible being, kind of strange text on a planeswalker, but
he's a god.
He's a god. He's a god.
And he stops becoming a planeswalker after he transforms. You know that. You don't get to keep doing the abilities.
You don't?
No. He just becomes, not in addition.
Interesting. Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that he does. I think it's sort of similar to the Gideon that's a 4/4 on your turn, but okay. I'm not sure.
Maybe. Super weird.
Yeah. I like that he's got a +1 that defends himself, and then he can also go get a card from your deck called, a Monk of the Open Hand, or Graveyard, which is important. And Monk of the Open Hand is a 1-mana 1/1 for white. That if you play your second card in a turn, it gets +1/+1 counter. What I like about this in particular is it reminds me of the original Nissa from all the way back in original Zendikar that got Nissa's chosen from your deck, which was a green 2/3.
2/3.
And that may not be a really good reason to think that the card's playable, but I do enjoy it. So, 2 abilities to defend itself. It has to stick around quite a while to get to the God mode, let's say. But at the same time, both abilities do go towards that that goal. So it is a synergistic. It's synergistic with its own abilities in a way, but I don't think you'll be using it in anything other than mostly pure control decks to shut down problematic creatures and go get monks.
Seems a little bit tough sell for me to put 4 1-mana 1/1s in my control deck, but
you don't need 4.
Okay, you just need the 1. That's true. But yeah, no, very cool. I think Lolth is pretty dope in a number of ways, but I'm just not quite sold on it. And Mordenkainen and Eliwick are just Mordenkainen is a little bit expensive for what it does, and Eliwick, it's kind of cute, but like it relies on this dungeon ability, which is like so unlike what we've played with before, so I'm a little bit shy on it at the moment.
Yeah, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of Eliwick, and also, way too happy. I don't think we get along. There's not any amount of emo or goth in a...
Yeah, the frog on her shoulder is really bothering me.
I quite like the frog, actually. The frog and I would be buddies.
The frog is so happy.
I wake. Happy elf? Yeah.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.
Anyway. Cycle of Mythic Dragons.
Flavor. What's the flavor here?
So these all have that name, but their actual names are, and you can only see 2 of them in the flavor text of them, are ridiculous. So like Old Gnawbone is Clorgaliamata, and Inferno of the Star Mountains is Ima Matharakto or something, and they're all dragons from the Forgotten Realms of Ancient War. I had a quick little look this afternoon at them. Cool. Some of them as a part of the old kind of comic / book series as well. So they're just super crazy dragons from ages past.
Yeah, powerful dragons. I mean, I love dragons.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
So that I've got a dragon chair. I've got a dragon. There we go. There we are.
Yeah, very good.
Just a big dragon guy in terms of what fantasy monsters I prefer.
Yeah, me too.
I really like this cycle as well. I think, bar the green one, they're all some version of playable.
I would agree with that quite a bit. The red one is pretty scary in particular, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, the one that I mean, it's quite difficult. So I'll just go from left to right here with a quick summation of what they are. So the white one, Icing Death, Frost Tyrant, 4 mana, 4/3, Flying Vigilance. When it dies, you may create a legendary white equipment artifact which has a quick creature gets +2/+0, and when it attacks, tap a creature defending player controls, and it equips for 2. So this is a white weenie aggro-y sort of top end card that rewards you for trading it, which is fantastic because that synergizes with the fact that it has vigilance.
Yeah.
I think it's quite good. I don't know how many white weenie decks want to play a 4-drop, and I'm not really sure what it'll be competing with. I think that the black-white command from Ixalan will be... Not Ixalan, sorry. Strixhaven.
Silver Quill.
Yeah. I said so. The Silver Quill command will be a big competitor with this card in that deck, but having one which is purely in white is going to be good.
Yeah, the equipment that falls off is legendary as well, so it's not as good at stacking. Like if you have, multiples, but at the same time, like the equipment itself is quite good.
And how many 4-drops do you really want to play in those decks anyway?
Yeah, you might play 2. I think it's pushed enough that it might see some play in the future, but
I'd be surprised to see more than 2 in a deck.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 in a deck.
Yeah, so makes sense.
That is what it is. Okay, the next one we have. Can you pronounce that for me? Is it Imrith?
Imrith.
Or Imrith?
Imrith Desert Doom. A lightning dragon.
Desert Doom. Yeah, okay. Lightning dragon in blue. So 3 blue for a flying. It has ward 4 as long as it's untapped.
Very good.
Very cool. Very reminiscent of
Dragon Lord Ojutai.
Ojutai, yeah, from Scars Block.
Yep. Particularly its ability as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then if you have fewer than 3 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. So this rewards you for dumping your hand, and it also rewards you for playing a controlling game as well. So this is both wins for me. This will go in decks that I enjoy playing no matter what. So I've got 4 Mythic Wild cards set aside for this one already.
Yeah, imagine imagine if you are like the control deck and attacking with it, and you get into a counter war, and then at the end of it, you're both down to like 1 card. It's like, or 0 cards. You're like, all right, draw 2, draw 3. Like, incredible.
I mean, it'll be good in blue-white. It'll be good in blue-red as well. So nice to see that. Very good with burn spells as well as just very good at staying alive. The ward 4 is interesting design. The fact that you can pay for a 2 mana removal spell and 4 mana on 6, which curves with where you would play this, is interesting, but it will take your opponent the whole turn to kill it. So I think that in that case, you're trading up on mana, and they have to have had it and all that, and had to have the lands as well. So I think it's a win either way, and big fan of this one.
Yeah, big fan. Ebon Death, the Draco Lich. 2 black, 5/2, zombie dragon, flash flying, ETB tapped. But you can cast it from your graveyard if a creature not named Ebon Death, Draco Lich, died this turn.
Yeah, and it's a 5/2.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot of different takes on this one. Let's start with yours, Russell.
Pass.
I love it. I think it's great. I love this card.
Yeah.
I just I like any card that goes straight into a very controlling archetype, which is blue-black control, but also ends the game really quickly. Because there's nothing worse than getting, milled out or attacked with a creature land out of the game by a blue-black control deck, because it takes forever, and you're pretty sure you've lost, but you don't know you've lost. This will end the game quite quickly, and it will also reward that sort of archetype for playing the way it wants to play. Is it the best card ever? Not really, but it is free value in a deck that would want that.
Yeah, it's a little tough because it can't, have 3 copies of this as your win condition, and then like if one's in your graveyard and one dies, you can just flip the other one into play. Like that's a bit of a problem. But a lot of this stuff, it's like, okay, has to ETB tapped, and they've already prevented that clause that I'm just talking about. So obviously it's probably quite good because they had to, fiddle the dials down to stop it from being a bit of a loop, and it can't like ambush stuff. Format of 5/2 flying that in a control deck comes to play at end of turn at the right moment. Yeah, it's probably quite good, but
I think the other version of this card is quite good as well, where it goes in a sacrifice style deck. Aristocrats, if you will. This being just a reward for playing that archetype is nice, and either way, you're probably playing 1 or 2 in a deck, not 4. But
whereas like Immorith is 4, maybe, or 3 to 4. Whereas this is a 1 to 2.
Yeah, I would be surprised to see. I think it's similar to Icing Death in that way. It goes in more archetypes than Icing Death, though. So I like this card a little bit more. I'm a little higher on it getting more play than Icing Death, but again, blue's the winner once more.
Yeah, that's fair. Inferno.
Inferno or the Star Mounts.
Yeah.
6 mana, 6/6 flying haste. Can't count it. All great decks. This is for the traditional dragon lovers amongst us, the ones that have stuck with dragons for a long time and they wanted a Shivan dragon to really have a glow up. Here it is.
The Shivan dragon that could.
This is the Shivan dragon that you deserve.
Yeah.
This is Colin Harris. We see you.
Yeah. He's fast. He fit. He's strong. Actually, I think Inferno's a she. From memory. It's got a fire breathing ability. If you can pay 20, so red 20 times, it will deal 20 damage to any target. That's not going to happen a lot in standard, but if there's an infinite, this kills with an infinite source of red mana. So it's not 20 times. Its power just has to be 20.
I apologize. So 14 times.
Yes. Much easier.
Much easier. Well, with treasure tokens and all the rest.
But you don't even need to do that because it's got haste, right? So it comes out on turn 6, clocks them for 6. The next turn it can clock them for 12.
Yes. Yeah. So I think this card is just straight good for those mid-range red-green or those monsters decks. Depending on what we're calling these archetypes. Mono red. Whichever. I really like these designs when they're around. It's still vulnerable to removal. The fact that you can't counter it is just fair. Yeah. It's not, can't be countered protection from black or anything like that. You can play around it, but it will also close a game very quickly if you allow it to. So, big fan.
I love it. This definitely could get into sideboards of this current standard environment, at least. And may see it creep into the main board, and then I think a definite player in a few decks, over the course of its life. I think this is the most real of the 5 dragons.
I'd say, for me, it's the second best, but I will be playing it. I've always liked, jamming my Vorinclexes into a deck and just building around that, and this does that as well. It's a 6 mana reward for a deck that really wants to power out some fat dudes, and big fan of that. It's going to be fun. It's going to lead to some ridiculous wins out of nowhere off the top of a deck and all the rest. So all fun stuff.
Clawguillemata or Old Gnawbone.
Old Gnawbone. Ding, ding.
Old Gnawbone is not a card that I will ever be playing outside of Limited.
Yeah, Old Gnawbone is, Old Gnawbone is old, okay?
Leave her alone.
Leave this dragon alone.
Leave her alone.
Leave it alone. There's no reason to bring it, okay?
She's just trying to influence local politics with her crime syndicate. Yes, that is her law.
Really?
Yeah.
God, I love doing this stuff. Okay.
Yeah. I've had a good afternoon. Cool
Well,
Commander card. Commander people will love this card, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
But
fun.
that's it.
It doesn't, to me. If this were an exciting commander card, it would have more text on it.
Sure.
But I know it'll get played, so you know,
Yep.
yeah,
Moving
whatever. It's a bit of a blank to me, but
Yeah.
the Crime Syndicate thing makes me higher on it already, though. That's
Exactly.
pretty.
A dragon with a crime syndicate. How can you refuse?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can't because they'll burn you alive.
Right.
So, well, I'll just read the first one. The Book of Exalted Deeds.
Yep.
So, white for a legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, create a 3/3 white angel creature token with flying. That's already good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's Griffinary, but worse. But still, that's something that people tried to play for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It also has white, and tap it. Exile the Book of Exalted Deeds. Put an enlightened counter on target angel. It gains, you can't lose the game, and your opponent can't win the game. Activate only as a sorcery. So that is the Platinum Angel text.
Yeah. It wants to go into Soul Sisters, but I actually don't even think it's good enough for Soul Sisters. Maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, I only see this getting played for the Wombo combo of putting the counter on a Faceless Haven.
That's
then
pretty fun.
Allowing the Faceless Haven to turn back into a land and then being impossible to remove.
Yeah,
so that's great. But you're playing a bad card to do it. If you can get this going, it's going to be heaps of fun. It does feel like a little bit of a trap to me. Every time I see these cards, I'm like, oh man, it would be so fun if these cards were good, and they never are. But maybe the fact that it's got a little bit of a combo potential as like a B side, or maybe the A side, and then the gain life part is the B side. Hard to say. Maybe that's enough to get it over the line. I don't know. Not sure.
Yeah, I mean, they've, again, been pretty careful with this. It's only your end step. Get the angel, not each end step. So that hampers its playability in a number of formats. But it's, yeah. Look, some people are going to love this card. And I think that's all that matters.
Yeah. No, I think, people will try it. And it's going to be fun. I can imagine a great video too hitting YouTube or whatever.
Oh, it's clickbait material for sure. So.
Oh yeah, great stuff. The next card, Demi Leech.
Demi Leech, the card that has fooled me so many times.
Blue. For a card, one of the cards that they designed for me. Thank you very much, Wizards. I appreciate that. It is a Skeleton Wizard, which, by the way, great super types there. Creature types there.
Yeah.
It costs 1 blue less to cast for each instant and sorcery spell you've cast this turn. So if you cast 4, it's free. Whenever it attacks, exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery from your graveyard. Copy it. You may cast the copy. You still have to pay the cost there. Just to clarify that.
Very important.
The last line of text is when I went from the second last Vince McMahon meme panel to the last one, where I'm, fully out of my mind. You may cast Demi Leech from your graveyard by exiling 4 instant and/or sorcery cards from your graveyard in addition to paying its other costs, which sometimes is 0. I think sometimes it's 0. This card is dumb, and I am such a huge fan of it. I'm here for it, and I'll be casting this in a lot of formats.
It's tricked me so many times because I had to reread it several times, and each time it somehow got slightly worse, but it's still probably good.
It's it gives you a spell back on attack. It doesn't need to deal damage. It gives you it on attack, so you can get rid of a blocker for that.
Yeah,
it can cost 0. It can cost as a 4/3. If it costs 2, it's a bargain. It's a 2-cost 4/3 that gets you a spell back. Amazing value. And if it dies, you can get it back later. This is just, oh my god. I haven't felt this way since Original Illustrated when they printed Snapcaster. This thing is so good. And yeah, I don't know. Just I'm in love.
I love it, but I'm a little bit softer on you, softer than you on it. Like in the formats where you can truly break it, it's got a lot of weaknesses. So
yeah,
I mean, in the formats where Metamorphose is legal, Lightning Bolt is also legal.
Oh yeah.
But look, it's again much like the Black Mythic Dragon. Rereading it a few times and realizing how much they've had to try to calm it down still gives me hope for this card because they still made it a mythic even after kind of like hampering its progress a little bit. Yeah, the having to cast the card that it exiles a la Snapcaster Mage instead of like casting it for free.
It would have been silly if it was cast for free.
I know. We had this discussion where I want all of my cards to be worth like more than a card and a half, which is why I'm happy to play cards that are worth less than a card to enable them. And this almost was there, but this is a much fairer one. This is it's really good. Yeah. I love it. The art is great. It's flavorful. It's beautiful. It's super duper strong. It's not busted in half. It makes you work for it, but I think the payoff is probably there. It'll be interesting to see how you make it work in Standard. I'm not sure if the mana's good enough.
Depends a lot on what's around it. Yeah, I think Standard. But you would pay 3 blue for this card in Standard.
Sure.
So it's a little interesting. Obviously, you're going to find some situations where you have to pay 4 blue for it. It's not going to feel so good. But at the same time, casting a card from your graveyard in Standard is a much rarer ability than it is in other formats. So I don't know. I think that this is a decently safe Standard print while still being a very good card there. And it gets a lot better in more powerful formats, but it's way more answerable in those formats. And I like that. That's a good mix of things to me.
I'm still getting my Highlander playset of it.
Oh, the one
copy. Yeah,
the one copy.
Does it come in a nice printing?
I'm not sure. I haven't gone deep.
I will research if it comes in one of those absolutely beautiful Monster Manual printings. I'm in. Oh yeah, I'm in.
It's nice to hear that you're high on the Monster Manual printings.
I'm so high on them. Oh my god.
I think that they're only lands, but
no, there are monsters.
Oh, that's fantastic.
No, so the lands are the book cover printings, which I also don't mind. Ooh, but there are Monster Manual like sketch printings of all this stuff.
Oh, okay. I get you.
It's so good.
Okay, so I'm way more higher on the book covers. That's the one that I.
They're
really
both
like.
Good. We can talk about them later. We've talked about the next card already with its infinite combo with Allure, and I don't think we need to revisit it too much.
No, not at all.
Flame Skull, pretty keen on this one. I'm gonna read this. 1 red for a creature skeleton. It can fly, but it cannot block. It is a 3/1. It has a flavor keyword, Rejuvenation, which is when it dies, exile it. If you do, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play one of those cards. One of those is the card you exiled or Flame Skull.
Yeah, not both.
But you get to pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one I quite like.
Oh yeah. You won't hear any arguments here about that. I quite like this.
I don't think it's busted. I think it competes in that kind of Chandra's Phoenix slot, which I think there are a couple, but like it's a very good Chandra's Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't believe that any of the ones right now are great, but I might be wrong about that. Sometimes those cards just need a rotation and they just pop back out of the woodwork. But to be honest, if it was better than this, I'd be shocked. I think that this is just such a cool play pattern card. The having to choose one and having an X turn to do it. And
you got a bit of time as well.
Either way. Like, great either way.
So good.
I think that just in terms of what this brings to the game and the way the games will play out, it's just going to be heaps of fun. And really looking forward to this card being legal. It does answer my question of why in the world is Spikefield Hazard legal, and it's because of this card. It's got to be.
Maybe. I don't know.
I like Spikefield Hazard. I just, what are we answering with Spikefield Hazard? And it's this.
Yeah, there are other X1s and probably will be in the future and, whatever. But, like,
you have to answer a good card for, Anyway.
My sweet baby Tarask.
You'll have to explain the lore behind this one for me, please.
The Tarask? The Tarask is a legendary creature that slumbers in the center of the earth that just cannot be stopped, it cannot be killed. If you do kill it, it just kind of goes back to sleep under the earth for a while, and then it just comes back up and rampages again. And it's one of the highest challenge rating monsters in the entire game. It is an absolute absolute iconic monster. It is beautiful. I love them.
Iconic monsters is where we like to be.
Yeah, and this
Is
does
it
have a
dinosaur?
monster manual art, and it's also beautiful.
Oh. Well, I'll have to check that out later.
So 9 mana for a 10/10 legendary creature dinosaur, which is slotting
Dinosaur.
into my EDH deck. If you cast it, it gets Ward 10 and Haste. When it enters the play, when it enters the battlefield, if you cast from your hand, it gains Haste and Ward 10, and whenever it attacks, it fights target creature, eating them with its bigness.
This is a very safe print.
Oh yeah, it's super dumb and like a complete crowd pleaser for the EDH crowd and me in particular. And we'll see no standard play, but I love it.
Yeah, I would have really loved if this didn't have the if it was cast wording on it.
Oh yeah,
which they generally do after playtesting and realizing it's too good in something. So fair enough. But
Reanimator.
at the same time, if this was a haste Ward 10 on the first turn that got to eat a guy, it doesn't have trample.
Yeah.
You know. So that's actually totally fine. But you know, if there's something problematic with it for what sort of standard environment they want, then fair enough. I just makes me sad that I can't reanimate him.
No, me too. As a Reanimator fan. Oh well. So the next row has got 1 mythic and 4 rare, from what I see.
Yeah. So we've got the Book of Vile Darkness, and then we're down to multicolored.
So good
for our mythics.
Yeah.
So the Book of Vile Darkness, you know, somewhat reflective of the Book of Exalted Deeds, is a legendary artifact which is black, black, black instead of white, white, white. And at the beginning of your end step, if you lost 2 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And it has an activated ability, which is tap this and exile it. And also, I exile artifacts you control named Eye of Vecna and Hand of Vecna. Create Vecna. A legendary 8/8 black zombie god creature token with indestructible. Gains all triggered abilities of the exiled cards. Now, we have seen those other cards.
Yeah.
One is a piece of equipment, and... Wait, are they both?
One is an equipment, and Eye of Vecna is an artifact from memory.
It's just an artifact that allows you to draw cards.
Draw cards and lose life.
Exactly 2 life, importantly, because it synergizes as well here. I don't know how I feel about this. I think it's a cool thing. I always like when they give us the 3 pieces of something, like Cauldra, which we just completed in Modern Horizons 2.
Yep.
And I think it's cool. It's a flavor win, but I don't know. It's not for me.
It's disgustingly good flavor. I can give you that. Vecna again is one of the most iconic villains. A lich that ascended to godhood. So it's super dope. Yeah, super duper dope. But for the people that like to solve puzzles.
Yeah, I will say that it's aggressive enough that it's a little bit better than the last couple of times we've had this sort of design, and it's been a while since we've had this sort of design as well. I think the last couple of times we're in core sets with Cauldron's Familiar, not Cauldron's Familiar, the
which is Cauldron,
which the Bog
which is Familiar or something, Bog Witch and whatever. Yeah,
Bog Witch. Yeah, there we are. And then
also Bubbling Cauldron. I don't know.
The Ground, the Scepter, and the.
Oh yeah, that was good. I like that. The Empire set. That was fun.
Cool. Yeah,
I got to do that in draft once. I won it very easily.
Oh, lovely! I think that came back in it was in one of the reprint sets.
Sure.
That put that back in, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's a nice shout out to the old core set players. But I think that's for someone else to solve it.
Yeah, and you're never going to do this in limited either because you've got a mythic and 2 rares.
Yeah, but I'm really waiting for someone to publish the first video on it so I can watch it.
Sure,
because that's going to be a fun time.
Cool. That's all the mythics. Shall we move on to the rares? Are we going to go through most, or just the ones that kind of stick out to us?
We do have some multicolored mythics.
Oh, sorry. I am very incorrect about that, so I will go down. Just the way
not
mythics
too many, but they're ones that I need the flavor.
Yeah. Some of these are commander ones as well, right?
Yeah. So
right, Tiamat, the dragon god.
Yeah, so who is Tiamat?
Tiamat is like the antithesis of Bahamut. So in D&D, you've got 2 subsets of dragons. So you've got chromatic dragons. So you look at, You'll see these in the set: white, blue, black,
Yep.
red, green. And then they're the bad ones, chromatic dragons. And Tiamat is the god of chromatic dragons. And then you've got metallic dragons, brass, bronze, gold, silver. And then Bahamut is the platinum dragon, the god of the good dragons. So Tiamat lives in the first layer of hell, which is Avernus, which is where the red planeswalker is from. And they're just the god of evil chromatic dragons and a couple of other nasty bits and bobs. So
according to our theme lore, that Tiamat is opposed to the white planeswalker.
as opposed to the white planeswalker Bahamut, who is the platinum dragon.
Right, cool. There we go.
So the chromatic bad dragons, all full of greed and avarice and hunger, and the metallic dragons are typically good. So, and the other cool thing about Bahamut before, the 6 canaries he has floating around them, they're actually 6 polymorphed adult gold dragons, or ancient gold dragons. So you don't want to fuck with Bahamut, because the canaries turn into giant dragons and you die.
Okay.
Yeah. And they themselves are an ancient platinum dragon, which will also mess your day up. But yeah, Tiamat's chromatic dragons, and they're all about trying to rule the world, and a lot of chromatic dragons sometimes try to release Tiamat from the first layer of hell. Which
well,
there are
that
9.
sounds like an epic quest, and one I'm here for, because bad guys rule.
Oh, there's some good bad guys, I can tell you that much.
I think we're getting to a couple of them. So yeah, Tiamat is a 7-mana 7/7 flying. The 7 mana though is not regular 7 mana. It's 2 and 1 color.
Wooburg.
Oh, the Wooburgs. And when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards not named Tiamat that each have different names. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. It's somewhat, reminds me of the 5-color Niv Mizzet that we got.
Yeah.
A different sort of mechanic. This does require you to cast it. Again, I don't like that.
Boo.
Yeah. But it is a very powerful effect. So,
Sure.
Look, it's not... I don't think it's going to be playable in Standard. I'd love to see someone try it. But at the same time, we need really powerful ramp. And that generally is not a fun Standard format. And generally, you'll find better things to do. Like, run people over. With some other gloriously large effect. So, look, I'm not really here for the playability of it, but it's nice to hear the lore.
Yeah, she cool. I love her. Xanathar has lots of lore, but they're not in the main set, so I don't know if you want to do Commander products. They're one of the Commander.
Oh, is Xanathar one of the commanders?
Yes, their number is not slash whatever. And I'm not. And I thought
Xanathar was in the main set, and I was actually really excited by that.
Xanathar is gas. They're a crime kingpin in Waterdeep.
Yeah, yes, I heard that, and I know the Xanathar's Guide to Everything and all that.
Really good guidebook. Recommend it.
There we go.
They love their goldfish, which is in the portrait.
Art. I really like Beholder artwork. It just to me that's what D&D is. It's like what is exclusively D&D. It's like 100%.
Beholders are really good, iconic.
And this one has so much personality as well. But yeah, it's not in the main set, so we will move along. But on you.
And I'm not sure if Minsk is in the main set or not. I think they might be a commander as well.
To tell from the image we have here, let me just check. I have no idea. If Minsk is, then whatever. It's fine. There's one other card that we need to talk about, which is the Deck of Many Things.
The Deck of Many Things, an iconic D&D wondrous item, which I need to put into my next campaign. Deck of Many Things is a deck of many things. Some are good, some are bad. It's about 50-50. You could give yourself some wishes, increase your attribute scores, create untold riches, or potentially you could be encased in a gem in an unknown plane guarded by an evil entity, having your soul sucked out of your body.
Fantastic!
It's gambling of the highest degree. What's not to love?
Yeah. Gambling!
We're
here for it. Okay.
Yeah, I need this card in foil, or whatever, and whatever nice version if it has it, because it's...
I'll keep an eye out. As we do for each other. So anyway, it's a 5-mana legendary artifact. It has pay 2 and roll a d20 and subtract the number of cards in your hand. If the result is 0 or less, discard your hand. So the less cards you have, the better it is. And once 9, return a card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Not bad for 2 mana. 10 to 19, draw 2 cards. Really good for 2 mana. And a straight 20, put a creature card from any graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. When that creature dies, its owner loses the game.
So good.
Wow. This
What
is
a stupid card.
I mean, the first time I read this, I was like, this isn't playable. It's so cool, but it's not playable. And then I was like, but 5 mana is kind of fine to do this sort of stuff. I might discard my hand, but who's going to care? I'll just lose the game. Bad deal. I get to make someone lose the game by bringing back their guy I can sacrifice or what have you. Look, this card I think is a little bit more playable than I thought at first. I'm rising on it stock wise. I'm happier with it than I was. But I don't know, Russell. What do you think?
Nah, absolutely not. It's very cool, but it's like not even quite deck of many things because like the options aren't even that bad. Like there should be like a roll 1. Something very bad happens to you. So from a flavor point of view, I'm not convinced, and from an actual power point of view, I'm not convinced. It is a wonderful card, though.
I'm here for the deck of many things, and you catch us on the next episode where I get to say, "In your face, Russell."
Yeah,
I was right about the deck.
Yeah, you were right. You were right about it. It's fine.
Yeah, and then conversely, when you say it to me. And that will also be acceptable.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, so I think that's the end of our mythics because there's no mythic lands in this set. So let's head back up and
scrolling very badly, and I'm sorry to everyone's eyes. All right, might be able to pick and choose some of these.
I would love to start with Loyal Warhound.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one. That's fine.
Yeah,
go for it. Tell me about the good boy.
He's a good dog. He's a loyal warhound. I am a big fan. It's 2 mana, 3/1. Essentially, it has very similar text to Knight of the White Orchid.
Very good card.
Yeah, if you're behind on lands, you can go and search your deck for a plains and put it into play tapped. The difference here is that it has to be a basic plains rather than Knight of the White Orchid, which was any kind of plains. So you get a Sacred Boundary, for example. That being said, Vigilance 3/1 for 2 with that ability, sign me up.
Yeah.
This thing's good.
A lot of people have been advocating, and I'm talking like pros or other content creators, have been advocating for a long time for this effect to return. And this is a very good, safe, fixed, but like varied version. And like Knight of the White Orchid, I think had First Strike as well.
Is it 2/2 First Strike?
Yeah, so an obnoxious card with this. Can trade up super easily, and
the last time we had Knight of the White Orchid in Standard, it was in an appropriately powered set, which was good, but I wouldn't have felt like it would have been the best idea to bring it in for rotation, because it would have provided a base level of power that maybe it would have been fine, but this one is way more
This
safe.
is really good. I love it. I think it's just A+ design.
Really like that it's got vigilance.
It's got what?
I really like that it's got vigilance.
Yeah.
This could 3/1s are really good, especially when they're value 3/1s where you get a card worth of value back out of it. Because a 3/1 can trade up. If you got a card, you don't really care if it trades down as much. I'm a pretty high on this card. It was one of the last spoiled, so it's fresher in our minds.
No, I think it's like actually one of the best cards in the set. Like,
it would surprise me.
Not even joking. It's seriously, it's a very good effect.
You'll play in white decks. You're playing white, you're playing this card.
Yeah, no. Awesome card.
Some vague exceptions. It would require a very powerful mana base to get printed when we go through rotation for it not to get a lot of play. The next card, True Polymorph, I feel we can skip if you're happy with that.
It's a iconic, powerful spell that I don't love how they've presented it.
Okay.
Done.
Well, and
done.
To me, from a Magic perspective, the card Polymorph and this card do not do at all similar things, and they kind of suck. But obviously, it's not really about that.
No, it's cool. It's a cool card. Señor de los Banditos Hobgoblin.
Yeah, Señor de los Bandidos Hobgoblin.
I think this one's good from memory.
In English, which is 1 red for 2/3. Other goblins you control get +1/+1, so Goblin Lord, very nice. And red and tap it, Hobgoblin Bandit Leader deals damage equal to the amount of goblins that enter the battlefield under your control this turn to any target.
Yeah, it's quite good, I think.
It's really good in Historic. It's going to be amazing in Historic. I don't know if it's good enough for Modern, and I don't know how many goblins are in Standard.
Yeah.
Not many. And Innistrad, we know, is the next set, and there's no goblins on Innistrad.
No.
So this is the sort of card that you see them seed into a core set every once in a while, where they're like, wink, wink, this will be good when we release the next core set.
Yeah.
And, you know, there'll be some incidental goblins that get printed along the way, and then in the next core set, they'll had this a few times, and then, bang, we're on. There's a tribal deck now. And this has happened with zombies. Zombies in particular, it's happened a couple of times. I'm trying to remember the other times as well, but over the last 10 years... Vampires, absolutely vampires. Anyway, this is a card. Keep your eye on it.
Yeah.
Remember that it exists. It's going to be great in some formats, so you won't need to be reminded to play those. But yeah, it's a cool card. I really like it. This is a great Lord.
Lord. I think it's a good tweak on the variety of Lords. It does nice stuff. It's a cool Goblin Lord for sure.
Good activated ability and it's a Lord. Pretty unique.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Long Rest, completely unplayable, and I hate it.
Yeah,
and I don't like that it takes up the rest slot. That is the card I'm least happy with in the entire set. Not
you're cutting in and out a bit there, mate.
Oh, sorry, bud.
It's okay.
Just really unhappy with that.
Yeah, card. Like I can tell you dislike it that much. You're literally lost for words. So we can move on.
Yeah.
Teleportation Circle is a Conjurer's Closet that costs less and is white, so EDH players rejoice. Probably not going to see any standard play.
I don't know. I mean, it will. If it does, it's very specific decks, but they'll be fun. So I hope it does.
Okay. Mind Flayer, a control magic stapled onto a 3/3, or whatever the version is now. What is it called? What is the 5-mana control magic? There is one. But that's what it does.
Control?
Pardon me?
Mind control.
Mind control. Yeah, it's a mind control. Or a
they stopped printing mind control.
Sower of Temptation, but it costs one more.
Yeah.
It's a 3/3, which is a worse Sower.
I think Sower is like the right comparison here. Yeah.
Kind of makes sense flavor wise, but it's fine. It's a really good limited card. It's going to absolutely ruin you in limited.
It's a limited rare.
Yeah. Asmodeus, the Archfiend.
So there's lore here. Come on.
So there are nine layers of hell, and in the center of hell there is Asmodeus, who is the Archfiend, the big bad. They once successfully argued against the angels that they weren't evil in front of the true neutral god. They are a master of manipulation, deals, and smooth talk. They are supremely dope, and this is the 666 Devil God.
That's nice.
It's so good. I love it.
It's a devil god. It is a devil god. That is a unique creature type, by the way. Your eyes are not deceiving you.
And it's a
We've never had a devil
666
god before. This is the devil god. In fact, we haven't even had that many devils before. So, having a devil god now is kind of nice.
It's beautiful. I like this card. It's kind of like pretending to be Necropotence. I don't know if it's good, but it is beautiful. So,
Pretending to be a couple of things.
Binding Contract. If you draw a card, exile the top card of your library face down, so you don't know what it is. So, who knows what's in the box? I love these cards. Black. Draw 7 cards? How can that possibly be bad? And then 1 black. Return all cards exiled with Asmodeus the Archfiend to their owner's hand, and you lose that much life. Yeah.
This card's not good.
No.
I like it though. It's
so
really
cool.
open-ended, and I like
so
it for
cool.
some other formats. Like it'll be great in Commander. There is like a very, very outside opportunity for this to get played with Thassa's Oracle, but it's not going to happen. Look, I'm very happy to hear that it's Flavor Win because it seemed pretty cool. It's a Devil God, so I'm glad it got some things right. And for those EDH players out there, sorry to do you wrong on this one, but just not that in.
I don't know. It's very cool. I think if it didn't, It's a flavor win that it's a 6/6 for 6, but if it costs less, then it actually would have had a really good shot of being played. Like, if it like cost less and was a bit smaller, because...
Yeah, I'm not sure what cost this needed to be.
But
It's not built around that. It's not built to be competitive. Hey, it's cool.
yeah,
So,
super dope. Zorn, take it away.
Zorn. So Zorn is a 3-mana 3/2 red for a 3/2. If you create one or more treasure tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional treasure token. The rich get richer in a card.
Oh god, the rich get richer. Relevant creature type, vaguely well costed, and there might be a funky deck out there for this. These engine cards can be deceptively broken. So
I mean, I think it's not going to be good, but
I'm like I don't think it's good, but I'm just a little bit wary of it because at least it's not double. Because then I would actually be a bit fearful, but like...
If it was double, we'd be talking different.
Yeah.
I feel this is basically uncommon, powerful uncommon level, not rare. And look, it's going to be... I would imagine the reason that they made it a rare was so its draft frequency was correct.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be fun in draft. Fantastic. I'll look forward to playing it. It's a big part of Magic and, the one I play the most. I just, I don't see it for constructed.
That's fine. Speaking of which, next one I'm fine to gloss over. Unless
Instrument or Bards?
Yeah, I don't even really want to read through it because it's very wordy.
Yeah, it's fine. Let's move on.
Dancing Sword, which maybe, just maybe, the numbers on this card are very low, and it does some stuff.
Yeah, I think this card's quite bad.
Yep, that's fine. Good flavor though.
Okay,
Dancing Sword is a creature in the universe, and you can get a Dancing Sword from the Book of Many Things. Not Book of Many Things, sorry. The Deck of Many Things. You can get a Dancing Sword, which like you can hold onto it and like use it to fight next to you, which is pretty fun. So
that's pretty cool.
Anyway, with the spell book again, it's pretty much. Yeah, commandery, fillery. A lot of these D20s I don't want to even consider for constructed because it's a huge variance, but very fun.
I mean, it costs 7. I'm actually kind of surprised at this, given the abilities and the cost. This isn't a mythic, but they did.
All those slots were taken up.
Yeah, they did. They did fit a lot of stuff in there. So this is an additional mythic style card, even though it's not.
It would be a shit mythic, but instead it's just a shit rare.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's a way to cheat this into play, if you can refurbish this into play or something I don't really know. Sometimes those things exist, like, maybe, I was going to say polymorph, but there was a polymorph effect in Return to Mirrodin that went and got another artifact from your deck. If you had one of those and you got an artifact token and sacrificed it to go get this and cheated the curve on it, it would be much better. But I'm not seeing it in its current form.
Anyway, something that actually might be playable is the Forsworn Paladin.
Paladin?
Yeah, 1-drops can't be bad. It's a 1-drop with Menace as well, which puts it up there with Unwilling Ingredient, one of the best limited cards of all time.
Unwilling Ingredient.
So good. 1 and a black tap, pay a life, get a treasure. 2 and a black.
Yeah.
Target creature gets +2/+0. If a mana from a treasure was spent, so one of the treasure payoffs, that creature also gains Death Touch.
Yeah, so this card is quite good. I like that it makes treasure tokens.
Yep.
That being said, the treasure making ability and the stat line and the third ability play at odds with each other. I want to make treasure tokens when I'm casting big things. This card wants me to make little things. And I don't really mind having a little bit of a disjuncture there, because I think it's totally fine to just make use of these abilities in different ways. I'm kind of low on this, except for the fact that it can pump itself and it's got menace.
Yep.
I don't know.
I think it is a nice little aggro 1-drop that can pump itself with menace, so be a 3/1 menace, and then it can become like a golden goose later in the game if it needs to. Like it gets to play both roles. Like if you need to be offensive, a 3/1 menace is gonna knock down the door pretty quick. if you need to slow the game down. It's a not card advantage source, but like a mana advantage source. So
mana sink, yeah,
mana sink.
Yeah, Golden Goose is a great comparison. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, well done. I think this. It mostly compares to Golden Goose, but Golden Goose tended to be. It's still in standard, but it tends to be more powerful when either you got something really dumb to do on turn 3.
Oh, sure. It's not quite Golden Goose. Yeah.
No, it's a different play pattern, but it's a 1/1 with menace versus 0/2 with flying, and that's better. So we'll see.
Once you have a treasure out, they can't really attack into your 1-drop because you can just give it Death Touch and trade up ad nauseum, and then it's still just like making treasures. Like your mana is never wasted.
You're playing pretty strong on board position. The bit that I don't like about this card is that it's not that much power for a piece of cardboard. And against decks that aren't trying to interact on that access, or they're trying to interact with much more powerful spells, I feel that this might be a bit weak. But you never know, because sometimes cards like this are what you actually need to push those last pieces of damage in. So look, come back to me on this one.
It can target any creature for the +2/+0 and give it Death Touch.
Nice.
It's a lot of utility on a 1-drop, so I am very hesitant to write it off. Is all I'm going to kind of... And like, Human and Knight are relevant creature types. We still have Throne of Eldraine with Knight's Matter. I'm not like over the moon. I'm just like, this is probably a little bit better than it looks.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's
that's it.
A lot of good text.
Delina, another dice roller. I'm very sad that doesn't have 2 power, so I can't put it in my 2 power EDH deck because that'd be gas. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, 4 mana 3/2. I actually think that this one might be one of the better D20 cards.
Oh yeah.
When it actually roll a D20. 1 to 14, you make a copy of Delina. Non-legendary.
Not Delina. Oh. Copy of that creature.
You choose the creature.
Yeah, choose target creature before you roll 20, yeah.
My bad. You can be Delina, which is one of the things that matters about this card, is that it actually doesn't need another creature on the battlefield. If you get a 15 to 20, you create one of those tokens and roll again. So this is absolutely a possible infinite. You know, maybe you got...
so they even had to errata it, so you may roll it. You may roll a d20.
Makes sense. That would be in the full rules text. Yeah.
No, they had to errata it in Twitter.
Oh really? Yeah. It'll be in the
notes
text when that gets released. I like this card in the sense that it's both fun and powerful. It does attack quite well. It is quite strong, but the decks it would fit into, I don't know what you really expect out of your 4-drop. We're just coming from a questing beast format.
If it had haste, I'd be a lot happier with it. But like, it needs to sit around for a turn. With the angel,
yeah. But you know, we'll see. I would be excited if this is playable. It's such a powerful effect.
It's very fun.
I suspect it's not. It's the 3/2. It does everything. At 4 mana 3/2 is unplayable and limited. Yeah. You know, so we'll see. But I would suspect it's not playable, but I do like it a lot.
Yeah, it's very pretty. Froghemoth, another classic villain / monster. It's Frog Horror. It's a Froghemoth. 3 green for a 4/4 trample and haste into it. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile up to that many target cards from their graveyard. +1/+1 counter for each creature card exiled, and gain life for each non-creature exiled.
Yeah, I like this card. This card's pretty good.
It's pretty good, pretty solid. It's got haste, and trample. Very good.
Haste trample is where it's at for this. Yeah. I like this for. Look, it may end up being a sideboard card just based on the creatures. We don't really know how high, how competitive the slot is going to be. Yeah. I suspect because it's 5 mana and in green, there'll normally be a Planeswalker edging this out.
Sure.
Don't know how important graveyards will be either, but I do like everything that's going on here.
It's got a lot of very good text.
Very good
text, and there's a meta that this is probably what you want to be doing, and if you've got any sort of like ramp into this, it's going to like, if it's like a reanimator, if that's ever a thing, like it just hits the reanimated targets and then just gets bigger, like, and then does more of the same and kills them quicker. So
it's such a strong reward against other mid-range decks if you're playing this in a mid-range deck.
Yeah.
If there's a, like, let's say Absent or Jund style deck that exists in the format, which is a mix of creatures and spells and all the rest, and you are mostly a creature focused deck and you play this, you are going to get rewarded for it. And that's really nice. And the fact that it has haste and all the rest, that's great. Haste is such an underrated ability every time. That being said, no evasion other than the trample. So, look,
that's evasion enough. I think in the right moment, in the right time, in the right metagame, this card is very good.
Yeah. It needs a lot of things to go right, but I would be surprised if it doesn't get play. I just don't expect it to get main deck play.
No, I think it starts from the sideboard, and then in the right environment, it's like maybe a 1 to 2. But like most likely a 1 to 2 in the sideboard for the majority of its life.
Okay, yeah, I think we agree on that.
Cool.
For sure. Excellent.
Guardian of Faith, yeah, maybe, but I don't really like it.
Phase is out. That's nice. That's fun.
Yeah, phasing is back in a few cards in this set, and I don't know how I feel about it, but
I don't know if they're testing the water on phasing again. Phasing is like
Teferi, Master of Time, and then this, and then the Blink Dog.
That's right. Yeah,
they've 3 phasing in the last year or so,
and it's so occasional. I think
they've talked about it, and it's like a sometimes thing, and they don't want it to ever become a major thing. But when it fits the bill thematically, they include it.
Flavor seems to be good on all of them, but at the same time, they could have written Teferi without it, I think.
Yeah, so this is like a good anti-Wrath spell-ish, or combat trick-ish.
Like aggro decks, and it's a sideboard card for them, and yeah, that's all I have to really say about it, to be honest. It is a spirit. That's the only thing I'll say. It is a spirit.
Yep, fair enough. Yonti Melisson is a pretty awesome dungeon enabler.
Mm-hmm.
Like, quite good.
Block attacking alone for a 2-mana 2/1. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, adventure.
And it has an alliterative flavor text. Very important.
Silent, slithering, sinister.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, because I certainly can't say that flavor text. But yeah, if Venture the Dungeon is a thing, this is one of the things that does it.
Yeah, it's a rogue that has an evasion text, which might be more relevant pre-rotation.
Yeah.
I'm not really about this card, to be honest. Yeah.
I'm more just saying, in the terms of dungeon, if you're trying to make dungeon work, I think this is one of the better enablers, because it is cheap, and it is consistent, and it is repetitive.
Yeah. So, yep, I agree. For sure.
What does the thing do? Westgate Region. I'd open it up. So, I don't like it. I regret opening that up.
It's a limited rare. It does have the important ward discard card, but no, it's not good.
No.
Other than limited, but it's cool.
Zolto, same thing. This is one of those venture ones, but probably one of the worst. 7/3.
5 mana, 7/3. Trample that has to do damage. If it was venture that many times equal to damage, then
you could just finish dungeon very quickly.
Yeah, and that would be worth the proposition of paying a 5 mana 7/3, but 5 mana 7/3 is not sticking around. No. It's for limited. That's fine. It's okay.
Varus, Silver Moon Ranger, potentially again much like
Silvery Moon.
Silvery Moon. Sorry, I forgot the Y. Much like the Yonti Melisson, it is a pretty push dungeon enabler. Reach Ward 1, 3 mana 3/3. Whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, venture into the dungeon, this ability can only trigger once per turn. Each turn, though.
Yes.
So flash creatures are interesting. Whenever you complete a dungeon, get a 2/2 green wolf.
Yeah.
Aggressively costed, lot of good text anyway. A 3 mana 3/3 reach Ward 1. Pretty close.
It feels like it is just so slightly off.
Yeah.
To me. I mean, this is going to be very close to Nadar, which we're about to get to.
Yeah.
terms of power level, and they both feel like they're almost there. But I'm not sure. We'll have to see if there's a desired adventure.
If there is a desired adventure, you've got Yanti, Varus, and Nadar. Two of them are legendary, unfortunately, but like...
Yeah, but this becomes some of the core issue of Venture, is that we're talking 3 different colors with creatures you're only really happy to play on curve.
Sure.
So, look, we'll see. We'll see.
No. It's more. I'm not like this is the truth. I'm just like, okay, like if this dungeon thing is good, these are the cards that are going to make it good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like, I would love for it to be a thing. It's going to have to depend.
Yeah.
It's so hard to know. So hard to know. It's definitely not a thing until rotation, but...
Nadar, Selfless Paladin, 2 dub, 3/3 Vigilance, Dragon Knight, one of the coolest dual creature types out there. Whenever ETBs or attacks venture into that dungeon, and then other creatures only, important, get +1/+1 as long as you completed a dungeon. Not for each dungeon, but yeah, again...
Yeah,
it's more just reading the text and moving on.
Yeah, speaking to the synergy, I think you brought it up just before. I do like that adventures when it ETBs.
Yeah, at least you get something out of it.
Yeah, you can't just remove it without you getting any value.
Dragon Turtle, just want to shout this one out. Tristan Cook's worst nightmare. They already think that 3-mana 2/4s are the bane of everything, and here is a 3-mana 3/5 flash that also ruins your day in any limited combat. It's probably purely limited, and oh my gosh, I am going to loathe every time this is cast against me in any sort of limited scenario.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean...
Moving on.
I wish it were better.
Dragon Turtles are also super iconic, and this kind of makes sense, but it's just like, oh my gosh, why?
Yeah.
White, I think this one's got a chance.
It's amazing to me that they have a card called White. Like, there is a white card. Like, that's not a theme we've ever done in Magic.
Well, it's very D&D.
Well, it's very a lot of things. It's very like Lord of the Rings or whatever. There's whites. It's a fantasy mainstay, and we never saw it in Magic. It's just kind of incredible to me. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. It is a 2-for-1 in creature combat. It's otherwise very forgettable. If it came into play untapped, I'd feel a little bit better about it.
Zombie and a soldier. They're both very good creature types.
That's true.
The creature type does replace itself. I don't know. It's a pretty good 2-drop.
Yeah, you're curving out.
Okay. I was pretty. I think this is a very solid one. I think this, like, at some point, it's going to be somewhere.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, we don't need to agree. The issue I have with it, right, is that it needs to kill a creature to get the replacement body.
Sure.
So maybe you can just play this for free. I mean, maybe the downside of playing 2-mana 3/2 in an aggressive deck is nothing. We can probably just say that it's pretty low to nothing. And then in creature matchups, you get a benefit. So it's sort of a floor raiser card to me. It's not something that I'm particularly excited by, though.
Yeah, I think it's solid. I'm not crazy about it. But...
Yeah.
Meteor Swarm should have been a mythic because this is a 9th level, extremely powerful spell, and then they've just given me this absolute crap. I'm so disappointed. How could you ruin Meteor Swarm for me like this? This is one of the most powerful spells in D&D, and I get this. This is what you give me.
Right in front of my breakfast. Yeah, I think that this card is fun.
I'm just angry about it. It could have been designed because anyway.
This is the card. This is the sort of card that you change colors for if you're drafting, because this snap game, like this snap wins the game. This is a 3rd pick. Oh, wasn't in red before. I'm going to cast red spell.
Well, it's just 5 mana blow up 2 things, 6 mana blow up 3 things.
7 mana win the game. Yeah, like
Doesn't hit
it's
players.
great. No, I know, but like they don't have a board left, so what are they going to do about it?
True.
I like this card for limited. It's a limited card, and it's probably not going to be that fun in limited, to be honest, but it is going to be very good.
By the way, it divides. It doesn't do 8 damage each time.
Oh well, in that case, forget about this.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Oh,
this is a 9th level spell that normally deals 800 damage.
Well, the numbers aren't the same.
I know, right? Anyway,
I think that if you cast this for 7, every time we've had deal 5 damage, divided as you choose, if that's the new wording for it, the card has been a slam dunk first pick. So I'll be surprised for this not to make waves in limited.
Okajelly had to fight one of these last night. It was fun to kill. This one's kind of cool. XG, trample, does
like
stuff.
boosters of all persuasions around here. I like this card quite a lot. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't think it's really very good though.
The art's dope.
Art's so good. Yeah,
big fan.
Into it. Next one for maybe good.
Oswald Fiddlebender.
Yeah, great name.
Oswald, how's it going? Oswald's here for it. No Artificer. How did I just say that? Artificer. Artificer. Okay, so it's a 1 and a white for a 2/2 legend. And white and tap it. Sack an artifact. Social library for an artifact card whose mana value is equal to the mana value of the sacrifice artifact +1. Then put it onto the battlefield. Shuffle your library. Activate it only as a sorcery. This card is so open-ended.
It's a birthing pod for artifacts attached to a creature. It's like the opposite of birthing pod.
I mean, it kind of is, except it's also cheaper than birthing pod.
Sure.
And also, I think in Modern, we're already playing affinity cards in Modern. Like, you can play this with affinity cards and just get, like, here's my Mirror Enforcer or my, what's the new one? But there's a new Mirror Enforcer. You can have 8 copies.
Or
Frogmites or whatever. Frogmite gets a Battle Skull, for example, or a deck of many things. Should that be what you like?
Deck of many things.
Deck of many things. And then other things will go and get an 8 mana artifact, maybe a Platinum Empyrean.
Sure.
I don't know exactly the best way to play this card, but it is quite possibly better than Goblin Engineer in Modern.
Yeah, Goblin Engineer is very good, so I can...
Goblin Engineer was played.
I love it. I love a good Goblin Engineer, but I don't think it's very good.
Goblin Engineer is a good effect, I think, if you have things to do with it. And this is a better effect than that. Goblin Engineer was sack an artifact, go get a artifact from your library with converted mana cost 3 or less. Sorry, mana value 3 or less, and put it on the battlefield. This is get that mana value +1. And
not quite what Goblin Engineer does.
Huh?
Not
quite. Oh, yeah, you put in... Yeah, it's not.
It searches your library and puts it into the bin, and then as a Goblin Welder.
Yeah.
Not quite the same. But
yeah.
In older formats, this could potentially be very good. It's probably not very good in Standard. But
the argument is that it's better than those cards by a significant margin.
Sure.
I'm here for it. I think this card's going to be great.
Fair enough. I like it. I think it's got some potential.
Not quite as high as me, but you like it a lot.
I haven't shown it to my brother for him to break it in half in front of me.
He will do that.
He will do that. Blackstaff Waterdeep, complete trash. Gelatinous Cube.
Hang on.
You want to go back to the Blackstaff?
Blackstaff for Waterdeep? This makes your treasure into a 4/4. Just saying.
Makes you what?
Your treasure into a 4/4.
Oh, that's great. That's super cute. This is probably the 9th effect that we've had in Standard that does this shit.
I like this effect a lot more than you, so we can just leave
it's the best version we've seen of it, but it's not very good.
I agree with you. I just like it. Okay, moving on.
I like it too, but it's garbage. Gelatinous Cube, one of another iconic monsters with it's kind of like an oubliette, 2BB, 4/3 ooze, ETB, exile target non-ooze creature an opponent controls until the cube leaves. But you can also pay X and a black, put target creature card with mana value X or less exiled with it into its owner's graveyard, which can then flicker the ooze and do some more of it. It's a very expensive Oblivion Ring in black that's stapled to a creature. It's super flavorful and beautiful, but probably not very good.
It's garbage, but it's so cool.
Yeah.
I think that it's a good limited card, and hey, with Commanders, we see you. Yeah, look, it's such sweet art though.
Yeah, and it also has a Monster Manual art, which is the nut.
Oh, it does? I was going to ask you about that actually. Yeah, big fan. All right, let's move on. We have Wish next, which is 2 and a red for a sorcery, and we have our new Planeswalker featured in the art here. You may play a card you own from outside the game this turn. So, we always used to call them Wish effects, so they just printed it for us. They called it Wish. Thanks.
They did perfectly. This is one of the best design cards I've ever seen in my life.
It's amazing. I mean,
it's got the red immediacy. This is also a 9th level spell, and they've done it right.
There we go. I like the way that they're... Well, I didn't know that it was also a lore in Dungeons & Dragons. I really came to this as an MTG guy, and I was like, you know what? They could print this in other sets if they wanted to.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And it's one of the most powerful spells in the game, and...
In Dungeons & Dragons?
Yeah. It's a 9th level spell, and you can literally get your wish granted, but you have to be like super specific about the wording, or it can absolutely shank you, and you have a chance of like losing the ability to wish every time you use it. But like, yeah, you have to pay 3 mana, and you can wish from your board, but you have to play it that turn, which is like that red immediacy thing. I think this is very well designed card and potentially even playable.
I think it's great. It's super cool. Yeah, I mean, it's not Burning Wish in terms of power level, but it is comparable for a contemporary print that we had. I think this will get played.
Yeah, it's probably
maybe not in standard, but it will get played. I think.
Good card.
This might be one of the chase cards for older form.
Maybe. I think this is like
particularly modern.
A+.
Where for modern, this is the most aggressive mana cost they have on this effect, and while there is the downside of having to do it that turn, modern cares so much about mana cost. So, and it's in the right color as well. The other ones have been in black and blue, which are less desirable as well. So, I'm high on this.
Nice one. Werewolf Pack Leader, which I think is a actual true contender for potentially now and very much in its lifetime. Green for a 3/3. So, watch Wolfie kind of above boards. Pack Tactics. That is the keyword we didn't talk about. This one is actually probably maybe a keyword in this set because it's on multiple cards.
Yeah, we didn't cover Pack Tactics. Pack Tactics triggers when the creature in question attacks, and if you attack with creatures with total power 6 or greater this combat, and then there is an effect.
Get an effect, and this one's very good. You draw a card.
There are actually quite a few good Pack Tactics cards. It might be an oversight on my part not including it in the rundown. I like this effect, which is... We've had stuff like it before, which is have X power in play or whatever, and we'll reward you.
Yeah.
This one is a little easier to trigger than most. It seems like they've shaved some of the corners off this design.
But it is a combat mechanic which incentivizes attacks, and it's still a dynamic play pattern where you have to decide whether it's worth potentially chump attacking in order to get the Pack Tactics. So, very, very nice keyword. I just want to say,
it not only rewards attacking into something that's going to kill it, it also rewards the decision to overcommit to the board, which it really does reward strong play, I think, and so long as the reward is there, and for this card it definitely is. And
like, there's even your classic like bluff attack with a trick in hand where you're like, I'm doing it for the Pack Tactic. I don't know. It's just a very good one. So you draw a card off this Pack Tactics, which is great. And it's 2 mana 3/3, so you're already fulfilling half of the criteria on one card, which is really nice.
That's pretty common for tactics.
Very good with multiples. Then it also has a mana sink ability, which is beautiful on these cheap creatures. 3 and a green. Until end of turn, it becomes base power and toughness 5/3, so it gains 2 power, gains trample, and isn't a human, which is kind of like just nice flavor. So then it certainly is a late game sink to buff it, but also like fulfill that pack tactics super easily. So
yeah,
strong card.
I have a question to ask of you of this, which
Hit
is that I think the most powerful version of a Watch Wolf we've ever seen is Fleecemane Lion. How do you think that this compares?
So Fleecy was the 3/3, and you paid 4 to give it +1 hexproof indestructible.
It was like 5 mana to turn it into.
5 mana. So it was 4 mana.
No, it was 3. It was 5, I think. Well, I mean, that's my memory anyway. I'll look it up in the meantime. And
either way, it doesn't really matter.
+1 hexproof indestructible.
Drawing a card's very good.
Drawing a card's really good. So, I mean, it's definitely in the discussion with Fleecemane Lion.
Yeah, no, I think.
Fleecemane was 5.
This also has the classic. It's a human.
And it is pretty good to write a text on anything. You know, werewolf may not mean as much as we would like.
Human does.
However, human. By the way, they still haven't printed the card I wanted from original Innistrad, which was a Destroy All Humans, no flavor text card. Can we please have a Destroy All Humans? Come on. Maybe Aliens Invaded.
Didn't we get that in Zombie Apocalypse?
Yeah, but it has other text.
Okay, whatever. Fair enough.
They originally had the design separate from Zombie Apocalypse, so Zombie Apocalypse is Destroy All Humans and make tokens, or do you return stuff? I don't know.
Something. You also got Human Frailty, which is 1 black mana, destroy a human.
For a target human. Yeah,
you can just give it Overload. You'll be fine.
I mean, that would be fine, but it would have Overload on it. I want the nice, clean Day of Judgment print of Destroy All Creatures, except Destroy All Humans. Okay. And they had that design. It was right there. They had to grasp
They missed it. It's okay.
They missed it.
We can move on. Let's move on. I mean, anything else you want from this pack later?
No.
It's really good card.
Yeah.
Flumph.
Take it.
Flumph is a absolute flavor win, and that's all you need to know.
That's all I do know. I suspect that it was a flavor win,
It's
we are
absolutely perfect.
That's amazing. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I don't ever want to play with or against this card.
I can't wait to tilt someone by playing this.
Okay. Grazelix.
Illithid Scholar.
Sweet Illithids.
Yes.
The mind
3 mana, 3/2. So 1 blue for 3/2. Legendary creature and horror creature type. By the way, horrors are getting come up soon, just so you know. Horrors. They're the next creature type of renown. It's going to happen. It's coming for my horror boys out there. Anyway, whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may return it to its owner's hand. Okay, so that's quite similar to some mechanics we've had in the past. Mana intensive. And then whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to the player, draw a card. So it's 1 or more and draw 1 card. So, you know, it's rewarding, but it's not super rewarding.
Yeah.
What's the squirrel we just had? You know,
Toski.
Huh?
Toski.
Yeah.
There are secrets. It's no Toski, and there is some utility with returning creatures ETB effects, but this is a very good limited card, and I don't really want to talk much more about it.
You get to win creature combats.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
It's a 3 mana 3/2 at the end of the day. If it draws a card, that's great, but I mean, the main thing is that if you get to curve out with this, you get to play this on turn 2 drop, and there is an argument there if there is a blue aggro deck. That blue aggro deck tends to have a lot of counter spells and Asian. Whenever we've seen those blue aggro decks, if that exists, and just so everyone knows, I pray that it doesn't. I hate playing against those decks.
I love playing with them.
I'm sure you've defeated me countless times.
What can I say?
This card would be played in those decks, and that's what, That's what we would see it in. However, until we see one of those, I don't really think this is going to get played generically.
Yeah, that's fair. Sphere of Annihilation, again, incredibly iconic card. Nah, not doing much.
Very cool card.
Very cool card.
I like this card. It's not good.
Orb of Dragonkind is going straight into my Dragon EDH deck. Let's go next.
I am so high on Dragon's Matter cards. I'm like disgustingly high on Dragon's Matter cards. Look, this card is going to be. I don't really know if Dragon Matters is going to actually be significant in Standard, but if it is, this card is going to be good.
Sure.
It is a rampant growth for dragons and non-legendary.
How about you tell me about the next card, which is actually probably quite good?
Circle of Dreams Druid. First of all, that art.
Very Rebecca Guay-esque. Almost.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
I really do like illustration style artwork.
I miss it so much.
I really do like. I mean, like I'm mostly an oil on board sort of person, but if it's mixed in with illustrative sort of stuff, way higher on it.
Yeah.
Higher on the illustration stuff and higher on the oil wood stuff. However, in this case, we're talking about the mechanics a bit more. So green for a 2/1 for an elf druid that adds green for each creature you control when you tap it. So this is a lot of mana.
But
this is a lot of mana, and it has the elf creature type.
Yeah.
So this is additional elvish archdruids.
Yep.
In elf decks that want elvish archdruids and don't care about the +1/+1s, which is all elf decks. This card is good. It's going to be
very good. It's standard playable as well.
Standard playable.
Yep.
You don't need to care about elves to play this card. You just need to play either mana dorks or just have a big mana payoff.
Yep.
This is the sort of card that waits for a Craterhoof Behemoth to exist. The last time we had this sort of card at this sort of power level, we did have a Craterhoof Behemoth, being Craterhoof Behemoth itself.
We had the boars for a while.
Oh, boar as well. We didn't have the mana engine of this level to go with the boar.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. It's not really the overrun effect.
Do we still have the boars?
No, they were in Ravnica.
Okay.
Yeah. So this card though, I'm just really high on it. What it wants you to do is play a lot of mana dorks and play a lot of rewards for having a lot of mana dork.
Yeah.
And this is a bridge in between those where it's both a payoff and a reward in the sense that if you can get this down on turn 2 or turn 3, then you can get to your reward quicker and win the game. Just straight win the game.
This one's one of the actual, I'm a little bit worried about this one card. So, yeah, I like it.
It's going to be so beatable, but at the same time...
Well, that's what you want.
Remove me or I win.
Last time we had this was it was from Avacyn Resort. It was like a 3-mana 0/1, and you could tap, and it would give you 3 mana, but you could only add it, use it for creatures.
Yeah.
And that was a good card. That was standard playable. That saw play. And this is...
It was a very good card.
Yeah, very similar to that. So, watch that space. That's a nice one.
That was the same thing it reminded me of as well. So, we'll need to see. It needs a lot of other effects for it to work, but when it works...
Alright, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Very fun spell. Very kind of shitty card here. You mill until you've hit... Total of 20. It might be modern playable, but I very much doubt it.
Russell, this might be our biggest disagreement.
Oh, you love it?
This card is fantastic.
Sell me.
This card is so good that you can play it against some decks as just a hate piece. This card cares about the mana value opponent's deck and exiles cards until you get to it.
Sure.
There are some decks that only play one expensive card.
Yeah.
And they're normally reanimator decks or cheat a guy into play decks. And it might be a legitimate sideboard strategy to play 4 of these if you need to beat just that one deck. Now, no one's going to be out here doing... But for mill decks, for decks that care about the size of your opponent's library, to give them the deck death they deserve, this card is going to replace basically any 3-drop. Along the way, it also removes any emerald.
Yeah,
which also helps.
Yeah, I forget that it exiles, not mills. So, but
Does exile? Yeah.
I love it. The spell itself is very good as well. So I'll give Tasha's Hideous Laughter an A plus for flavor, and you want to give it what, like a B plus for playability? Okay.
No, this is Sorry, no, this is an A plus.
Okay. Best card in the set is Tasha's Hideous Laughter.
No. What I will say is that this is. I know this is getting played. Okay. This is going to get played in Modern. You're on a mill deck, go get it. Pre-order them, buy them. It's going to get played.
Okay. Vorpal Sword. Do you know what Vorpal Sword does in D&D? It's beautiful.
No idea.
So when you attack, if you roll a critical hit, a la a 20. Natural, you automatically, if that creature has a head that could be beheaded, that creature is beheaded and dies.
It's super effective, I suppose.
So, A plus, great. Unplayable but beautiful.
It's a cool card.
Yeah, it's so cool.
You play like a mono black aggro deck.
Yeah.
That's
no.
None of that's for the 8 mana ability.
No, it's beautiful though. I like it. It's a classic card. Minion of the Mighty.
Bone splitter if all your
you want
mana
to
is
go
black.
back? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's a bone splitter if all your mana is black.
Yeah. Minion of the Mighty.
So cool.
So
bad.
Do you know you can win the game on turn 2?
I'm aware.
Okay. It's people are going to go to great lengths to lose with this card.
Look, this is a very high upside. Very high upside.
Yeah.
I
didn't realize this was a rare. I thought this was like a common or an uncommon.
No, absolutely needed to be a rare. Look at the upside. Look at the upside. It's too powerful. Too powerful.
Yeah, if you have a dragon in your hand and you've attacked with 6 power off your 1 mana 0/1, by the way.
0/1 menace. Yeah, look, I'm not a big believer in this card. It is cool.
Play this on turn 1, turn 2, infuriated twice, put in a Scourge of Valkus, which gives your team double strike, and it's a 5/5 double strike, and you 21 them, or 22 them on turn 2. The end.
Yep.
We're done.
Scourge of Valkus doesn't normally have haste or anything like that.
Yeah, but it's into play, tapped and attacking.
It's into play, tapped and attacking.
Alright, I'm going to scroll down to the rare artifacts and lands.
And we also have a whole cycle of classes to get to.
Do we want to do the classes as its own thing?
Why don't we do the class? We'll do the rest of the res, then we'll do the class.
Okay. And then we can do all the uncommons because they're all probably quite good as well. So I am down to Skeletal Swarming, which I'm fine skipping.
Sure.
And then Volo Guide to Monsters, who is a big lore thing, which
great art,
really good flavor. I think there's a lot of really hard work to make a card not like EDH. Sure, go for your life. Enjoy, guys. Enjoy.
We're all happy to see a blue-green card that's not busted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go to Orcus, who... Hello, baby.
Demon.
The Prince of Undeath from the Abyss themselves. This one's actually pretty scary good, I think.
So, what level of hell is it from?
No. You don't understand. It's from the Abyss. Very different from hell. So, hell is lawful evil, whereas the Abyss is chaotic evil. The Abyss just wants to destroy everything and, end the universe. And hell itself actually is locked in an eternal struggle with the Abyss.
Interesting.
Which is how Asmodeus got to win the argument that they're actually a good force in the universe because they're the only ones holding back the Abyss from all the other planes.
I see.
Yeah.
So they're evil, but we're not going to break everything.
Well, they're lawful evil. They've got a hierarchy, whereas the Abyss is chaotic evil.
So they're just all for destruction.
They just want to burn the mother down.
Hmm.
And Orcus is Orcus is the Prince of Undeath, and they're all about, completely.
Is this where all the skeletons come from? Or skeletons are just a generic force?
No, Orcus is just all about the perversion of death and unlife. But Let's look at them, because at the baseline, you've got a 4-mana 5/3 flying trample.
Not a bad starting point.
Not a bad starting point. But then you also have
Also an X in
X.
that cost, so tell me what the X does.
X can do one of two things. The X can either give each other creature neg X, and you lose X. So,
Lie. Yeah.
nice little board sweeper. Or return up to X target creatures with total mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield and they gain haste.
Yeah, they don't die at the end of turn either.
No, this one's very good.
I am not entirely sure what archetype I prefer this in. I just know that it's going to get played in 2 or 3.
It's very
So,
good.
I mean, it's going to, it's a great top end to black-red aggro deck, and it's a great top end to a mid-range deck that plays black and red and wants to cast it for 5 more mana than black-red aggro deck does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, huge on this.
Yeah. Just the fact
4?
you can cast it for 4 and it's a 5/3 flying trample. Pretty good.
Yeah, I think I'll be learning his name quite quickly.
Orcus. Hail Orcus. Yeah, no, I don't think I don't know. Maybe someone will find a way to break it in older formats, but like in just a standard environment, I think this is one of the ones that actually can make the port into the current environment and certainly would be a player. So like this is a bit of a serious one. That one's quite good.
I wouldn't be shocked. It's just very good on rate and has a lot of optionality.
I know you hate venturing into the dungeon, but
Look, I'm a sunny boy. I like to be in the sun.
you don't want to be triumphant.
Well, maybe one day.
So yeah,
What do you think about Triumphant Venturer?
I continue my comment about if you want to make venturing into the dungeon work, this is one of the cards you're going to use, but I do fall back to your comment about all these different colours, and we're looking at 4 rares among 4 different colours to try to get it to work.
The lack of synergy from a casting this spells perspective is kind of killing me on this.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean it's black, so it goes with the best one. But anyway, whatever.
Adult Gold Dragon, a metallic dragon, so he's a good boy. He costs you 5, red and white and 3 for a 4/3, but has for life laced. Flying lifelink and haste.
Flying lifelink and haste, yeah. I like this card a lot. It's quite good. It is one of the better lightning heals you'll ever cast.
Yeah.
It's not for every deck, but the decks it's this guy. Where you been?
Yeah, no, he's. I don't know. It might be the top end of some decks, but I'm not really.
Yes, guy control. Now, blue, white, red control. If this is your top end, you're very happy. You do already have some good spells to cast in those decks in this same set, most of which are dragons, and things that reward you for having a lot of dragons. However, the big thing is you have a lot of dragons. There are a lot of dragons to cast, and you don't need to look outside of the set to find more right now to make some of these other things viable.
Yeah.
So we may or may not get to one of these cards when we do our little uncommon thing, but look, I'm high on it. I think it's going to get played.
Fair enough. Driz Duerden, who was like from like the comic / novel / TV series, I'm not quite sure. They were a drow hero. They have a lot of good stats. 5 mana, white, green, 3/3 double strike. When it comes to play, not cast ETB. You get a Gwenhwyvar, a legendary 4/1 green cat creature token with tramp. Whenever a creature dies, not one you control, if it had power greater than Driz power, put a number of +1 counters on Driz equal to the difference. Good amount of stats.
I hate this card.
Okay, me too. Good. All right. Moving on.
Probably fine. I don't like it.
Yeah, good. Hand of Vecna and Eye of Vecna, we talked upon pairing well with that mythic. They play well with it. I think
And then you have treasure chest, which isn't in the main set.
And then the lands. These, I think, are quite lovely.
Okay. Let me take Treasure Vault.
You can take it. Tell me how much you hate this card.
I love this card. Treasure Vault is an artifact land, and it taps for mana. We're done.
It comes to play tapped though, right? Doesn't it? Like all artifact lands, it comes to play tapped.
No, it comes into play untapped. It's such a good boy.
But Sam, isn't that potentially broken for older formats?
I'm glad you asked, Russell. It is potentially broken. I think, in fact, that it is broken. And I'm such a fan of this. This card is gonna be good. It also has another ability, but we'll never use.
Cutting in my okay.
Yeah, no, it has another ability. I don't think I'll use it. Look, it's got XX and tap to sack it, and then you create X treasure token. So you're paying 2 mana for every treasure token. Fine, whatever.
Oh, so when you
has no interaction with the fact that this is an artifact land, and this is an artifact land that doesn't come into play tapped.
So, I mean, it's not legendary either, which is annoying. I mean, Darksteel Citadel is an artifact land that comes into play untapped.
Yeah, with Indestructible. Clearly better than this card. But there's extra ones.
Yeah, and that artifact thing is potentially useful when you create your infinite colorless mana somehow with your artifact loops, and then you can convert it into infinite colored mana of any type. But
yeah, I believe that last ability will be useful for some people in some places, maybe me.
Yeah.
But it's not really why I'm going to get a playset of this.
No,
I'm going to get a playset of these to abuse Frogmite.
Makes sense. Dungeon Descent is your venture land. Hooray. Then we have...
It's not good, by the way.
No. Then we have 5 of my favourite lands just for their art.
These might be 5 of my favourite lands in a long time.
Oh, they're beautiful. So they're recycled lands. So as long as if you control 2 or more other lands... so if this is your 3rd land or later, it comes to play tapped. Otherwise, it comes to play untapped.
We used to call fast lands. These are super fast lands.
They're hyper lands. They tap for a colored mana of their type. So there's one of each color. But they're also creature lands, and the creature side of them are pretty pushed. And they all have provocative, beautiful art, which in some cases is subtle, in other cases not so much, of the creature they turn into. So the white one is Cave of the Frost Dragon. You can tap for a white, which is good. They all tap for a coloured mana, which I think is awesome. You can pay 5 to get a 3/4 white dragon with flying. The blue is 6 mana. You get a 7/7 with Ward 3, which is scary. The black one, you get a 3/3 Beholder, Menace, and whenever it attacks, exile target card from defending player's graveyard. The red one is 4 mana, 3 in a red for a 3/2 goblin creature. When it attacks, you get a 1/1, so pretty good. And the green one is X and a green, you get an XX from memory.
Yep.
These are great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which my favorite one is, but maybe, they're all my favorite.
The blue one's very worrying to me.
The blue one is my favorite art.
The
blue one has very cool art. And, it's just got that really under the sea look. Friendly crustaceans all around. Just these schools of fishies. And it's going to be good. I think that probably the most competitive one is going to be the red one, as usual. These sort of land. We just know that red's the best color to play.
I'd argue the blue one, man.
Sorry?
I'd argue the blue one.
Well, okay. The only
for control decks, like a 7/7 land.
Yeah,
that kills you dead in 3.
So here's my thing about the red one. The red one is red. Red is the color that you play, just that color.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's why I'm high on that one. A goblin that makes another goblin.
Yeah.
So if you're playing goblin stuff, it's good. Trigger stuff, whatever. But none of those things are pure power level. If these are all colorless, then we'd be talking about a different discussion. in terms of what my favorite one is, I personally will probably play the blue one and the white one quite a lot.
Yeah, they're all very cool lands, and I think they're balanced quite well.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to them being in standard.
Yeah, for sure. Were there any uncommons or commons that you wanted to... Oh, no, sorry, we're going to the classes. I digress. There are a bunch of classes.
Yeah, let's do the classes and then just hit the couple of hot take uncommons that you would like.
Yeah, I got a couple of shout-outs for flavor as well, but...
Great, awesome. Okay, so starting with Monk class.
Monk.
So this is a new type of card. It looks quite similar to a Saga in the way that they are designed. However, they do work a little differently. So they have 3 levels to them. The first one you get as soon as you play it. It's just an enchantment that sits on the battlefield. And to progress through them, you have to pay mana. So it's kind of like a level card, and it's kind of like a Saga card.
Yeah, it's a level up Saga.
Yeah, it's level up Saga, except it doesn't sacrifice itself when you get to the last level.
Handy.
So Monk class, for example, the second spell you cast, it's white-blue enchantment, sits on the battlefield.
Yep.
The second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. That's it. Just does that.
Yep.
Natively. You can pay a white and a blue to get to level 2. When you do get to level 2, you can return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owners. Now, it is notable that you can only do this at sorcery speed. Then the third level, which is white, blue, 1. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. For as long as it remains exiled, it has... You may cast this card from exile as long as you cast another spell this turn. So if it's not your first spell, you can cast the top card of your library underneath this. It gets exiled every turn. So it's not much mana each time.
No,
but it's 7 overall.
Yep. But over several turns.
Yeah. So this is like, these in general follow different models of when they how much you have to pay in terms of mana to be rewarded, but they are innately mid-rangey sort of cards. They want you to have access to mana over a long time, and they also don't really reward you for playing as a control deck. And that's the general design aesthetic here that we're doing. There are some exceptions, of course, and we'll cover those when we get to them.
Cool.
So the second, well, do you not agree, Russell?
No. They're all cool. I like them a lot. Monk class seems awesome because it has this bounce clause at level 2, which is pretty great. It slows the game down. I don't know. They're all super interesting. They all play well with each other. I think they're all relatively thematically where they should be. I enjoy them. I don't know if any of them really scream at me as I want to play with them in a standard format, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, so I think Monk class will probably get some attempts at playability.
Yeah, that's a push one, I think.
There's a few which are pushed, but not that many.
No.
The next up is Rogue class. I don't think that one's good.
Yeah, I don't want to read a whole lot of this text.
By the way, Rogues have had enough recently. By the way, they don't need another. Yeah. They don't need a reward.
They don't need a buff.
Sorcerer class is interesting. It allows on the second level for creatures you control to tap for mana to cast
quite good.
Sorcery. I don't think this card is good, but I do see a world in which it could be. Yep. It kind of reminds me of Jeskai's Henry.
Yes, it's like a very potentially good combo card, but probably is not.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Fighter class is not good.
Yeah, Bard class is not very good.
Bard class cares about legends. Cards that care about legends are normally quite bad, but keep an eye on them.
Yeah, they when they're good, they're very good, but most of the time they're quite bad.
Cleric class is interesting, but very expensive. The second ability is very good though. So it's white, and then the first level is if you gain life, you gain that many life plus 1, and then the second ability is 3 and a white to act. So we're 5 mana deep at this, and a single turn payment of 4 mana. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you can. which is the Ajani's Pride Mate ability, or the Heliod ability, say, because it is targeted. Yeah, so there might be something here for a deck that just needed enough pieces and kind of short on it, and doesn't mind, does not mind paying a relatively expensive cost for it. I don't see it, but that it could be a thing. That one could be a thing.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go through a lot of these. At the end of the day, they're enchantments, and they require a huge mana investment. They're not indestructible. They don't protect themselves. They don't progress themselves unless you put mana into them. And it's a sorcery speed, so they do require a lot. Thematically, they're very good, but
I feel like there's 3 more we need to talk about. Okay. So Barbarian class. If you roll 1 more dice instead of roll that many dice plus 1, ignore the lot.
Sure.
I don't really care about the second part, but people like rolling dice. Roll more dice.
Look, it's the crack thumb of this set at uncommon.
Yeah. Big fan. And Paladin class and Ranger class, which are both rare, and they're the last of the rares for the white and grey card. I think they're both quite strong, and they might be the strongest of any of the class cards. The Paladin class is spells your opponents cast during your turn cost 1 more to cast. So we're talking about Thalia, Garden of Thraben effects, but only on your own turn, which is fine. It's sort of, some of the time that's what you need to dodge counterspell. The second level is 2 and a white. Creatures you control get +1/+1. So you can pay for Glorious Anthem on top of that effect, which is pretty competitive.
You're getting that.
Now, yeah, we're not being too aggressive with the costs, but at the same time, both things are helping the same plan against the same decks. So I don't know if this is a main deck card, and if it is, it's probably only a 1-of, but it might see more slots, and maybe it's a 3-of in the 70. Ranger class is the one that I can see getting played in the main deck, along with Monk class, if you're doing a Monk class strategy, where Ranger class is a 1 and a green. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 2/2 wolf creature token. So that's a 2 mana 2/2 for 2.
Yep, get a bear and enchantment.
If the enchantment gets removed, you still keep the 2/2. We're below rate in terms of paying for the creature, but we keep the enchantment in play. So we're doing something okay here. And then the second level, whenever you attack, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. That is a great ability. It only costs you 2 more. And then the third level, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. That will cost you another 4. However, that is very good effect. Ranger class to me is by far the most playable one, and I really like Ranger class. The fact that the worst ability on this is that you get a 2/2 for 2 puts it way above any of the other ones. To me.
I like that the first level up is impactful enough that they would want to remove it, and you're probably paying about parity on mana when they do remove it in response, which is when they would have to do it. So
I like that it plays well with itself as well. You can pay 2 for a 2/2, and then pay another 2 to bump your 2/2, and obviously in an ideal paying your rest. But if things go wrong, you're doing this instead, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think the Monk, Paladin, and Ranger are head and shoulders above the rest. Barbarian is potentially interesting and limited if you're that dice rolling deck.
I just like rolling dice.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. Shall we look at honorable mentions or anything you really wanted to talk about in commons or uncommons of the set?
Yeah. So there's not too many. Why don't we start at the top, and then if you have a flavor win or a card, we'll bring it up. So, I mean, like the first one I have is that you meet in a tavern. But we've already covered this sort of stuff. But you encounter, you see 2 goblins, whatever. It's just fun. They're cool cards. Yeah. Really like that.
Yeah.
Burning Hands.
So the cycle. I think it's a mostly cycle. I couldn't find the blue one.
I couldn't find the blue one either.
The cycle of enemy, or maybe it hasn't been spoiled, but I feel like everything's been spoiled. The cycle of enemy punishing uncommons, which I like. So I think they're all probably going to be good because they all are pretty aggressively costed. So Raven Feebleman's probably the first one, really.
Oh, that makes sense. The good thing I like about this cycle is not that they're not too powerful, because we just had the Ether Gust cycle.
Oh, yeah.
That was not good.
That was awful.
This cycle does something to other colours. It doesn't just hate, it has an effect.
Yeah, it does something and then an additional effect, yeah.
It just gets a little bit more powerful, and some of the time it's enough to play it either way. Well, to be honest, they're not enough to get played. Right?
The red one's probably good enough.
Raven Feeblement, one black for a -4/-1 has been played. Like, we had the Ring Flesh get played, which is -3/-1, and this gets even more powerful against white creatures. So
well, there's sideboard cards with like potential more utility. So like, it's good against white, but if your opponent is red X1s, you still throw it in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Whereas Burning Hands is a good, almost good enough effect to play because it's a shock, but like, against green, it's very good.
It's very playable against green, yeah.
And then Divine Smite, I don't think is very good. So that's 1 white instant. Type creature or planeswalker, opponent controls phases. If that's black, exile it. Like, yes, it's good, but like, it's Celestial Purge. It was sideboardable, but this is not Celestial Purge.
Yeah. I think we said enough on that cycle. Flavor win on Magic Missile.
Yeah, that one's good. Super good. Love Magic Missile. 3 mana, can't be countered. 3 damage divided among 1, 2, or 3. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of chromatic dragons. You got your blue, your white, your black, your red, your green. They're all pretty solid, limited uncommons.
Yep, that reminds me of Dragon's Attack here.
Yes, very much so. Critical hit. 1 on a red, instant. Target creature gets double strike, but whenever you roll a nat 20, return critical hit from your graveyard to your hand.
I mean, that's playable just because it gives double strike at instant speed.
Yeah.
We'll see if the deck we often see these cards.
It's just a flavor win because nat 20.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sometimes these cards are playable. We just don't know the environment it's going to exist in. Yeah. Sometimes these cards can all come together, and this is the effect you wanted. So, Assault Strobe, a good example of the same effect. It costs 1 red, but it's a sorcery. So
I play it in 7-point Highlander.
Yeah.
Grim Wanderer, I think, is a potential card here. So the 1 on a black, 5/3 flash Goblin Warlock with a tragic backstory, which means you can only cast this spell if a creature died this turn. So it's got Morbid. Yeah.
No, I don't think this card's good.
Okay, I just appreciate it.
It's got some stuff on it. It's too many conditions.
Prosperous Innkeeper, I think you probably have something to say about.
Yes, I certainly do. Prosperous Innkeeper.
You citizen.
He might be the best card in the set. Who's to know? I know. I mean, this is a Soul Sister, which rewards you with a treasure token. Now, in some ways, that's worse than a Soul Sister, but in some decks, this is a one-time rampant reward. So if you're trying to get to 4 or 5 mana early, and that's what your deck cares about, you love this card. And not only do you love this card, it also blocks for you, it also gains life for you. This card is exactly what you need, but it's not what you want. No one wants to play this card, but we're not going to get rampant growth. Or, well, even if we do, we're not going to get 2. You'd probably play 8 if you could. So this card is gonna get played. I think this card might be one of the most played uncommons in this set. I mean, we're gonna come to some more played ones, of course, but this card, don't sleep on Prosperous Innkeeper. Prosperous Innkeeper, hey, they're here for you.
It's like Wily Goblins was like always people wanted to play it, but the double red was super restricted. This is in a better color and is not double.
So much better. This is the absolute example of treasures getting pushed, and I feel this might be the best of the treasure cards in the set. just based on the fact that you just don't have to do anything and just reward you a bunch.
Yeah.
And it's it's not a throwaway. You don't make a treasure for 2 mana, and making a treasure for 2 mana is actually tough.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
This card's good. I like
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why I stopped on him. We got Portable Hole, maybe?
Yeah, you want to talk about that one?
Portable Hole, super handy, old school spell that nobody plays anymore, where you just put a hole in the wall or a hole in the floor and drop shit into it. 1 white artifact. So, color artifact. When it
Is artifact a flavor lose there, or a flavor win?
Actually, I'm not even sure. Like, I don't know much about portable holes. I will be very honest with you. Maybe it is like an item. That'd be pretty cool. If it is an item, then I'm in. So, you can yell at me at @GetSmart. That's GHETT_smart, which is Patrick Robertson's Twitter handle.
Please send all complaints to Patrick Robertson.
Please send all complaints. Oh, no, sorry, to Samuel James Brent. Yeah, so Portable Hole, 1 white for the artifact where ETB, exile target non-land permanent, which is pretty good text. Opponent controls with CMC or mana value these days, 2 or less until it leaves the battlefield.
They fall for it every time.
Every time.
Yeah,
deceptively strong.
Yeah, it's a good effect. It's a strong effect, very small. I would need to see why I would play it, but
it's very pushed, so you'd have to look at it, and again, right meta, maybe right format. It's probably going to be playable.
Right meta, right format, right deck. You may want it.
Are you a fan of Battlecry Goblin, or should we skip right to PWK?
I think that Battlecry Goblin's probably. But like, it doesn't matter that much. Let's talk about Power Word Kill, and then we'll... Power Word Kill.
Yeah,
which is like just a nice thing to say.
it's a very good spell.
I feel that every time you cast this, you need to yell "kill" at the top of your lungs. Otherwise, you're letting us down.
Well, in a sense, it's a word that kills somebody. It doesn't actually have to be the word "kill."
Okay. Rotisserie? That would work?
That would work. Yeah, you could kill someone if you said rotisserie.
This is the power word that kills. It is not power word named kill.
Yes, because there's power word stun and there's power word cure. And it's you utter a arcane word that kills, stuns, or cures the target. What'd you say?
What?
What'd you say?
No, nothing. Don't worry about it. So you destroy target non-aim, demon, non-devil, non-dragon creature. Which, by the way, most creatures are not one of those types.
Most of them are not.
Most of them are not. I think this card's pretty good. It's like a Doom Blade with more blade and less Doom.
So we see these Doom Blade, go for the throat, walk the plank. There was an Innistrad one as well, which I remember the art, but I can't remember what it does, and it was like non-werewolf, non-whatever.
There's also Heartless Act.
Heartless Act, for sure.
Yeah, and
Victim of Night is what I was thinking from...
okay. Yeah, Victim of Night. That was a good one.
And, this relates very much to that. Unlike Victim of Night, it's not double black, it's 1 and a black, so it makes it a lot more palatable. This is obviously your 4 out of 5 limited card, and most likely going to see some standard play when the meta is correct.
You're playing blue-black control, and this is going to go well with Even Death. Your dragon for blue-black control, which you kill your opponent's creature, and then you get your Even Death back. And they can't kill it back because it's a dragon. Suck it in. Right. Power don't work on him.
So good.
It's efficient, and look, honestly, this might be the best uncommon in the set. Normally, it's some dumb removal spell.
I thought you said Prosperous Innkeeper was the best uncommon of the set.
Well, I mean, that's my best uncommon of the set, but I will say, for other people who are power gamers.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right, let's go back up a second and go to Battlecry Goblin.
Yeah, I didn't want to focus too much on it. It's just
I like I like this card a lot. So Battlecry Goblin, hey, Battlecry mechanic sort of thing. 2-mana 2/2 Goblin. Goblin pay 1 and a red. Goblins you control +1/+0 haste until end of turn. Whenever Goblin, Battlecry Goblin, sorry, attacks, if you attack with creatures with power 6 or greater, this comment create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. It's only one guy that you make. However,
but
quality Goblin.
yeah.
Quality Goblin's better, and this also has it at instant speed has a +1/+0 fire breathing for the whole team of goblins.
Yeah.
So this is if goblins are a thing, this card is going to be good.
I like that. On turn 2, it's 2/2, which is fine on curve. That can then threaten a pump or quite easily start making goblins. On turn 4, you can play an attack with it as a 3/2 because it counts itself and probably proc. And then I like it when you are procking the battle cry and you're threatening an anthem with any amount of mana, and all of a sudden those 1/1s you were making are 3/1s or whatever. So
Yeah, just for a bad line of play, if you go 1-drop 2-power goblin into this, on turn 3 you get to make another goblin. And that doesn't sound great, and it's probably not. But at the same time, this is the sort of floor raiser that I look for in decks. And I think this card is a floor raiser. And we don't have enough goblins. But
it's a nice one.
I'll keep my eye out.
I'm gonna drop on down into the commons, or unless there's anything else. There might be some artifacts that we'll get.
Let's go to commons. I think Dragon's Fire is the only one of note for me.
Oh yeah, it was Dragon's Fire. So 2 as additional cost. You may reveal a dragon card or choose a dragon you control. So it is an Incinerate or Lightning Strike. So 2, and there's an instant, which is good. So 1 in a red, deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, not player. But if you revealed dragon or chose a dragon, you deal damage equal to the power of that dragon instead.
Yeah. So this removes Bloodstruck Beast.
Does.
Yeah. Which is kind of important. Red doesn't remove Bloodstruck Beast.
No, you do now with the Burning Hands.
Yeah, I mean, catch these hands, I guess. I think that, these are the sort of cards that... Look, I don't know if there's enough dragons. There might actually be enough dragons. Kind of crazy how powerful the dragons are in this set. Look, this is a good card, and it's going to get played the standard as long as you can put dragons around it. We have most of those dragons in this set.
Yep.
I think that the fail rate of not having the dragon is a totally acceptable spell to play in standard. It's a weak spell for standard, but it's still a good spell.
It's fine.
It's a playable spell, I should say. I think that this is... it may be better than Scorching Dragonfire from Khan's block. And
that's a big call.
Scorching Dragonfire, just for the record, dealt 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you revealed a dragon, it dealt 3 damage to the controller as well.
Oh, no. Scorching Dragonfire has Thrones of Eldraine.
Sorry, my bad. I'm thinking of...
something else, but I know what you're talking about now, where you got to, you had to 3 them as well.
You're getting scorched by Dragonfire, but it's not called that. I don't know. Some dragon stuff. Anyway, this is on that sort of heritage, and that card was quite good in the standard it was played in, and it never got beyond 3 damage. And I would say that in terms of standard, you'd rather reliably remove than do 3 damage to the face, even though doing 3 damage to the face is quite good. But if you're playing dragons, you're playing 5 drops, 6 drops in your deck, you probably want to do the damage to the creature and just have the last dragon surviving, last creature surviving.
Cool.
So, pretty high on this, and I think it might go under the radar a little.
Nice. What is the common, so you can pick them up pretty cheap. I've got a couple of honourable mentions of Weird and Wonderfuls, either lore or potentially interesting commons. One of which is Priest of Ancient Lore, which is a 2 and a white for a 2/1 dwarf cleric. And when it ETBs, you gain a life and draw a card. That's
very good.
That's a nice role player. That is just potentially one of the better white card draw spells, ETB, so I like that.
It's a white card that draws a card.
Yeah. I love the flavor. I'm looking for it. I hate +2 mace. Just want to put that one out there.
You hate it?
I hate the fact it's called +2 mace.
I mean, that's a flavor win for me, just because Gary Gygax said that in the Futurama episodes.
Okay, good to know.
+2 mace, Gary Gygax, Futurama 2001.
Where the heck is it? It's a removal spell. Here we are. Eyes of the Beholder. 4 black. Instant. Target creature gets -11 until end of turn. Flavor text. In the end, there was nothing beautiful to be seen. Now, the reason I love this card is that a Beholder has 10 different ray attacks, which you have to determine at random when it attacks, and it also has 1 anti-magic cone out of its main eye.
Hence 11.
It's so good. Anyway, that's all I got.
I mean, it's called Eyes of the Beholder. And the flavor text ties perfectly back in. I was a fan of this card, and I didn't know anything about it. Yeah. It was a cool card. It's a flavor win. Design win.
Artifacts, blah blah blah. Mimic, super cool. Bag of Holding, now an uncommon. I'm just doing a bit of a wrap up here now.
Yep. We had Bag of Holding from, right?
M10, 15, 20, I'm not sure, one of the M's. Yeah. All the basic lands are super cool. I'm now looking at some of the showcase variants.
I really like the flavor text on the basic lands. They do.
Yeah, they're super nice.
This is one of the things that D&D does very well. It puts you in a location.
Yeah.
You know, it's just how it should be phrased.
Did you have a favourite? Flavor text on basic lands is not something we've ever had before.
Sorry?
Flavor text on basic lands is not something we've really had before in a normal set.
Yeah, not in a normal set.
On basic lands. You know? Yeah,
no. You're right. I'm not so sure what my favorite is. There's a few which are real winners. The Beneath the Desert Sands Plains. You've discovered an alien power pulsing with the. It should be the last.
Venturing beneath the desert sands.
Yes.
You've discovered an alien power pulsing
with
unconceivable energy. I'll get my demon voice on.
Okay, I will, attempt to get on board with that. I also like the island with the pylons.
The pylons. That was nice.
After careful study, you've determined that the giant ruins serve to track the movement of the planet, and they will soon align once more.
That's quite good. I'll do a swamp.
I guess this is what we're doing.
Oh, that's good. This is our sign off, by the way. We're gonna read flavor text from basic lands, and we're gonna give some final thoughts and go. But we just have to do this because this is nice.
Yes.
The swamp, the final swamp. You expected to meet hostile drow in this ancient ruin, but they fled long ago. What darkness here could have driven them out?
That's so good. That one's so good.
Yeah, it's nice.
Which is it's darker than the drow.
Yeah, it's so good. So good.
I don't even know what a drow is, but
it's like a corrupted. Lolth, who you love, corrupted a bunch of elves to make the drow.
Oh, they're bad elves.
Elves.
It doesn't even matter. I know they're hostile. You know.
Give me a mountain.
Yeah. Well, I think the last one's still the best.
Yeah, the last one's so good. I'm gonna do the last one of the green one as well. I think. Actually, no, I'm gonna do the top one anyway. Give me a mountain.
The forests have it. The mountains are a little lacking comparatively, I would say, with the flavor text.
Yeah.
But
the last mountain one's very good.
Yeah, the other ones aren't as good as the rest of the other ones. Anyway, the last mountain. As you make camp near the ancient ruin, you hear the sound of drums echoing in halls where no dwarf has lived in generations.
Very good.
Problems in the deep.
Oh, the art of that second forest is good, and I don't mind the flavor text either. As you venture deeper under the boughs of Neverwinter Wood, arrows in the tree trunk suggest you might not be welcome.
I didn't know they had talking arrows in D&D.
Yeah, well, no, they suggest. They indicate. So yeah, that was our shallow dive into Adventures into the Forgotten Realm, with as many back and forth, add-ons, meandering
And
thoughts, and otherwise. Any final thoughts on this, Sammy?
No, just thank you so much for joining me tonight, Russell. I really appreciate it.
My
I had a
pleasure.
great time, and it was literally one of the most informative lore experiences I've had ever to a Magic set, because normally the lore is unknown until this
Yeah.
was a huge win for me. I understand. Just like thanks very much, and if you've made it this far, thank you. And catch us next month or a month and a half, I guess, for the next one, Whine, because there's heaps of sets coming out right now, and we'd like to see you there. Yeah.
Somehow, it is always spoiler season. It has always been spoiler season. It will
In the
always
dark
be
arenas of the swamp,
spoiler
there is
season.
always spoilers.
There is always spoilers. Yeah, the night is dark and full of spoilers. So yeah, no. Sixth set. I'm looking forward to playing it and losing to my opponents being very lucky with their dice rolls. So
Always like never spoil.
yeah. Thanks for joining us on whatever platform this may or may not have got onto. We're both cute. We're both sweet, and I'm going to try to turn off the stream now. So, goodbye, friends, lovers, and everything in between.